Hewitt and Guy Benson. Tickets are available now at 560theanswer.com/summer. That's 560theanswer.com/summer.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
Hello, this is financial advisor Dale Bradley speaking to you from the Bradley Investment Center in Evanston. Have you ever made an investment through one of those large national brokerage firms? Have you ever felt like just a number? Well, at Bradley Investment Center, our goal is not to be the largest practice. It's simply to be the best by establishing and keeping true personal relationships. Visit us at BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. That's BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. Or better yet, stop by and say hello. We are at the corner of Central and Central Park in beautiful Northwest Evanston. We strive to be the center of all your family's investment needs. For more information, call the Bradley Investment Center at 855-940-8700. That's 855-940-8700.
Bradley Investment Center. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. Bradley Investment Center is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services.
If you're missing teeth or even a single tooth, dental implants are a fantastic way to regain your confidence, your smile, your dental health. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. You hear a lot of people screaming at you about dental implants. Get it done in a day, or we can treat everybody, or hundreds of thousands of implants. Look, successful implants don't come from an implant factory. What you don't hear talked about is skill, treatment, and installation. These are what make for successful lifelong implants. And that's why you need to see Dr. Norouzi at Fox River Periodontics. Dr. Norouzi is the recommended choice of dentists that don't do implants. You need the experience, skill, and honesty that 24 years of dental implants brings.
This is Dr. Norouzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants.
Call Fox River Periodontics, 630-232-7400, 630-232-7400, or just remember, implantsforme.com, implantsforme.com.
At 5:07 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
Good morning, David. Tri-State Tollway southbound. We're seeing delays from 176 to the Lake Forest Oasis. This is due to flooding in that area. There is a lot of flooding to the north, the northwest, and the far west as well. A lot of roads in western Kane County are impassable. There were cars stuck on some of the roads there overnight. Also on the Tri-State Tollway near the north end, near 173, there's a car fire blocking the right lane. Elsewhere, the expressways and tollways look pretty good. Some earlier roadwork delays on northbound I-55 have cleared up near 53. But in Lake Forest on 41, there are delays. Wesley and 60 due to the water. And there is high water. The viaduct at 41 and 176 is flooded. Grace Lake, there's flooding at 120 and 45. Fox Lake, there's a lot of high water. There's a power outage affecting part of the area near Wilson and Fox Lake. In Grey Grove, 47 is shut down. This again in that area of western Kane County where a number of roads are impassable near 20. And in Elgin, there's high water and there are also some down power cables. The 60 block that is of Liberty Street, or the 100 block. Traffic is a service of Cici's. Now at Cici's, bring the party home this summer with 3 medium, 1-topping pizzas to go for just $4 each. Only at Cici's at participating locations for a limited time. Purchase minimum of 3 pizzas. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Brian May.
A shower or a thunderstorm around this morning. Otherwise breezy, hot and humid today with the clouds and sun. High 91. Tonight, thunderstorms around. Some could be severe. Cloudy, warm and humid, low 74. I'm Brian May on AM 560. The Answer.
Lakefront 71 degrees, 78. Midway 72 at O'Hare. Next, News 530. Continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by M.J. Miller & Company Jewelers. All that glitters is gold at M.J. Miller Jewelers in downtown Barrington.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board, who brought biscotti for everyone.
I did.
Well, everyone in the studio.
Oh, I made it myself.
Yeah, it's nice. I like the commercial packaging
right
that you added to the kind of flavor.
I do.
Of the
I
biscotti.
print those out at home. You have to dip it in your coffee and make it mushy.
3D printing. 3D printing.
Sure.
Yeah.
All the nutritional guidelines. I follow all the FDA rules.
Okay, Donald Trump Jr. Here we go. Because he uttered these 3 words, which always gets you in trouble, I love it. The entire nature of the conversation has changed. This is some indication of failed collusion, where prior to him releasing the email chain between him and the individual Rob Gladstone in particular, who set up this meeting with a Russian attorney, because he said, if it's what you say, I love it, especially later in the summer, in terms of damaging information about Hillary Clinton, that has completely changed everything.
It's the headline on a lot of these stories.
Well, certainly the New York Times, which, the Day 4 story is going to be Donald Trump Jr. has a screensaver of Dr. Zhivago. They talk about the slow walking of this story, since they had these kind of the people, allegedly they just had people characterizing the email. Then they had the name of the person who set up the meeting, this former British tabloid writer / publicist. And then, of course, Trump Jr. just said, well, let's just be done with it. Here is the entire exchange that led up to the singular meeting. And then, of course, Trump Jr. took to Hannity last night for his first interview in the wake of the last 3 days of furor over this now disclosed meeting. And here's what Trump Jr. said was his thinking about the meeting when it was first broached.
Honestly, my takeaway when all of this was going on is that someone has information on our opponent. You know, things are going a million miles an hour. You know what it's like to be on a campaign. We just won Indiana, but we're talking about a contested convention. Things are going a million miles an hour again. And, hey, wait a minute. I've heard about all these things, but maybe this is something I should. At the time, it wasn't this big news story.
And this is Russia. There wasn't Russia mania, Trump Jr. said a couple of times. So in the context of it, he didn't have a heightened sensitivity about Russia because this is June of 2016, and you didn't have, the daily hyperventilating from the D.C. press corps about allegations of Russian collusion.
Mm-hmm. Did you watch the interview?
I did.
And did you find him believable?
I did.
I struggle with I struggle with the fact that it was Hannity. So I didn't, there weren't enough probing questions as far as I'm concerned. But also,
it's friendly. There's no question.
Yeah. Well, come on. Yes. And I still have this feeling that, and again, this is just pure speculation, but the release of the emails, the transparency that he put it all out there, probably has more to do with the fact that, do we know if he's been interviewed by the FBI yet? I just feel like he's trying to get ahead of something.
Well, he said that he, in that interview, and even previous to the interview, that he's disclosed all the documents, not that there appears to be very much in the way of documents outside of this email chain. Number two, that he'll talk to, I don't know if he has explicitly said he would testify before the Senate Intel Committee which has been called for, or the House Intel Committee, which of course has been called for by the law firm of Schiff and Schumer. But he has seemed to say, well, I'll turn over everything. I'll talk to whoever. I mean, I think there is a legitimate criticism about naivete and sloppiness.
And lack of vetting.
Well,
I just feel like
the sloppiness.
They keep the entire campaign. I mean, you have to. He is correct to put this into context as to what was going on at the time. We were all obsessed with a contested convention, and the idea that it almost sounded like, he was kind of placating a friend by having this meeting. It turned out it wasn't as juicy as they expected. But I just go back to what I initially said, the fact that you had, top aides to the campaign there. If she would have provided information that would have been useful, is that illegal?
No.
That's the part I keep.
And by the way, I would like to know, I mean, apparently they didn't have any information per the quality of the meeting, which apparently didn't last particularly long. And there was no follow-up, again, according to Trump Jr. But this idea that there's damaging information about Hillary's dealings with the Russian government, in addition to, oh, by the way, what Peter Schweitzer delineated in Clinton Cash, lest we forget, the Uranium One company. I won't go into all the gory details now. We've covered it on the show, including with Peter Schweitzer. But there was also, and Trump Jr. made this point, there was also these stories about Hillary Clinton that, yes, were in Clinton Cash and had been documented by Peter Schweitzer, but were underreported in the D.C. press corps. And so why wouldn't he think maybe there's more there? And why wouldn't I entertain the idea of getting damaging information on my political opponent? Oh, by the way, that's what you do in a political campaign. Both sides do it. Everybody does it. You would be practicing political malpractice not to do it. Now, the way he did it, you could also argue is political malpractice. But the idea of being interested that kind of a passing associate would raise this prospect of an information source that could be useful, and you would just dismiss it out of hand? Well, no.
But so here's where I keep getting stuck. Is this is there illegality because it was a foreign government? Even if there was some collusion, because the word treason keeps getting thrown around, and I know we'll talk about that later. But
can we just hold there, because this is a premise that everyone is accepting, and I'm not saying that Miss Velitsnitskaya.
Gosh, you really.
Thank you very
so
much.
Impressive.
Thank you. I'm not saying I believe her, but the question was put to her on NBC yesterday, and she did say this.
Have you ever worked for the Russian government? Do you have connections to the Russian government?
Нет. No.
Niet is no in Russian.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I've read a lot of Solzhenitsyn, so I pick up on these things. So I mean, she's saying, there is this possibility that not everybody in Russia is an agent of Putin and the KGB or the modern incarnation of it. Well, I'm just saying. I mean, the idea anybody who's Russian is suspect.
Well, but the email to Donald Trump Jr. from Goldstone referred to her as a lawyer who works with the Russian government. So somebody, I mean, then he was incorrect, but that was the substance of one of the emails. And I don't know.
Yeah, but Goldstone's connection isn't to her, because Trump Jr. didn't even know who he was meeting with. Goldstone's connection was to Donald Trump Jr. was the singer that this Azerbaijani. I mean, this is like crazy. You cannot make this up.
I know.
Azerbaijani singer, for those of you who follow the Azerbaijani pop scene like I do, and that was the kind of connect, because this Azerbaijani singer had performed at a Miss Universe pageant, and Goldstone represents him as his publicist. So I mean, and Junior kind of talked about that a little bit in the Hannity interview, about kind of the puffery and just kind of how it went down a little bit more from Junior, just in terms of after the meeting, what happened, and the subsequent communication, which there was none.
I actually didn't know anything about it. Again, an acquaintance, sent me this email as a courtesy to him. I said, okay, let's meet. But I didn't know who I was meeting beforehand, never heard of the person, never got the information until they were in the room.
Right, so that you could argue sloppiness, malpractice, but okay.
Yeah, there wasn't really follow-up because there's nothing there to follow up. But as we were walking out, he said, listen, I'm sorry for that. But I think what happened, he sort of goosed up. He built up. There was some puffery to the email, perhaps to get the meeting, to make it happen. And, in the end, there was probably some bait and switch about what it was really supposed to be about. And so, there is nothing there.
I mean, that bears out even through the email exchange where Goldstone wrote at one point, this is obviously very high level and sensitive information, but as part of Russia and its government support for Mr. Trump. Goldstone makes the case that this was, something really heated and interesting. And the Donald Trump Jr. and the others in the meeting said it only lasted a half an hour. And didn't the lawyer say Donald Trump Jr. was on his phone the whole time? He wasn't even paying attention. He was kind of dismissive and asked some questions and then irritated.
I think Manafort was. Manafort took a call,
right.
and then Kushner left at some point during the meeting. This is kind of discussions in passing from Trump Jr. Now, he's not saying that, thinking about it now, here's what Trump Jr. said about looking at it with 2020.
I think, like I said, in retrospect, I probably would have done things a little differently. Again, this is before the Russia mania. This is before they were building it up in the press. For me, this was opposition research. They had something, maybe concrete evidence to all the stories I'd been hearing about, but they were probably underreported for, years, not just during the campaign. So I think I wanted to hear it out. But really, it went nowhere, and it was apparent that that wasn't what the meeting was actually about.
We'll take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Not necessarily a day for the pool. 50% chance of showers and thunderstorms before noon. Some of the storms could produce heavy rainfall. Later today, partly sunny with a high of 87. And tonight, more showers and thunderstorms. Let's get a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Good morning, Kristen. Good morning, Dan. Yes, pretty nasty stuff during the overnight hours, and it's left some delays and some closures. There's high water, especially to the north and to the west. Tri-State Tollway southbound, it's jammed. Atkinson Road to the Lake Forest Oasis, where the high water has two right lanes blocked. Northbound, there was a car fire near 173. That's gone. Everything's open there. Lake Bluff, 41, has flooding at 176. There's a viaduct flooded there, so that's impassable. There are a number of impassable roads in western Kane County. 47 flooded near 20 in the Pingree Grove area. There is some flooding in Fox Lake, and there's actually power out there due to the conditions. Grays Lake, there's high water at 120 and 45. On the Chicago expressways, we're now seeing slight delays on the inbound Stevenson to the Rhine, as well as I-57 at the Bishop Ford. Nothing unusual there. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do on this show every day. It's our digital platform that features long-form interviews of opinion leaders and policymakers. This week, Charles Cook, National Review online editor in our Against the Current series. Follow the Logic Man on the Street segments, as well as a new series we've rolled out, Heart of the Matter, which is professional women speaking about the salient issues of the day, colleague to colleague. My 60 Seconds of Sanity commentaries. Illinois Opportunity Project's Pat Hughes's 2-minute warnings, as well as podcast of our Illinois Rising program, which covers state politics and policy. You can get it all by going to Upstream-Ideas and signing up today.
Message and data rates may apply.
Does forgetting your password make your blood boil? If technology is supposed to make life easier, then why is it so difficult to log into apps and websites? We're about to simplify your life now by giving you free access to Dashlane, the award-winning app that remembers and protects all of your passwords, making it easy to securely access all of your accounts. Get Dashlane free for life on your favorite device right now by texting PASS to 543-543. Dashlane makes life online blissfully simple, safe, and secure. Trusted by over 7 million users and 6,000 companies. Top-rated in functionality, security, and ease of use. Honored with over 70,000 5-star ratings. Dashlane, where passwords are never lost, never forgotten, and always secure. Unlock free access to Dashlane for life on your favorite device right now by texting PASS to 543-543. After texting, please enjoy a sigh of relief. That's PASS to 543543.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. You've heard me talk about my friends at Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville. They're well known for excellent customer service, including custom designs, jewelry repairs by their on-site expert craftsmen. Their knowledgeable and friendly staff always ensures that you feel like family. Right now, they're offering a special family incentive for everyone. 20% off jewelry repairs and custom designs. You mention my name, Mike Gallagher, and get this exclusive offer. Roland's Jewelers has a large selection of beautiful engagement rings, and they're a direct diamond importer. Take advantage of wholesale prices on quality loose diamonds, as well as fine jewelry from designers like Hearts on Fire, Simon G., John Hardy, and Roberto Coin. Don't forget to tell them Mike Gallagher sent you. You'll get 20% off jewelry repairs and custom designs. I want you to visit RolandsJewelers.com or call 847-918-7300, 847-918-7300. Roland's, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy this morning, and we're talking about Trump Jr.'s release of the whole email chain that predicated the meeting with the Russian attorney and the interview he did with Hannity last night. The reactions that are coming in are really interesting because you have some conservatives, including Charles Krauthammer, breaking bad on Trump Jr., saying this is evidence not of criminality, but evidence of attempted collusion, and thus it undermines the Trump administration story that there is no there with respect to colluding with the Russian government. Now, again, just for emphasis, the idea of collusion and the idea of criminality, much less treason, since this is a word being bandied about by hysterical Democrats like Tim Kaine, suburban dad on the down low, those are two separate things. I know the Democrats want to conflate them and want to confuse you, but they're two separate matters altogether with separate standards. But here's Krauthammer reacting to Trump Jr.'s disclosure yesterday.
The defense of the Trump administration for the last 6 months, which I supported, was there doesn't appear to be a there. I was saying this is a cover-up in search of a crime. There wasn't any evidence of collusion. There were lots of coincidences, lots of meetings, lots of non-disclosures, but that's all circumstantial. There was nothing to show that the Trump administration was aware of or supporting the Russian interference in our elections. And this just showed up today in black and white, released by Don Jr. himself. This is not released in the anti-Trump media. So you see it in black and white. This is not to say that collusion is a crime. It never was. But it is to say that the denial of collusion is very weak right now because it looks as if, I don't know if there's any other explanation, Don Jr. was receptive to receiving this information.
So, take your reactions to Krauthammer's assessment as well. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I just also want to get Jonathan Turley, and he's a law professor at George Washington University. So you heard Krauthammer on essentially the politics of it with respect to the Trump administration's narrative on the topic. Now, as to the law that is at bar, if any is, since there's never any quite identified except oblique references to treason. There is reports out yesterday that Mueller is going to look at the emails. Okay, fine, the special prosecutor. But Jonathan Turley on the legal merits of the claims being made by Schiff and Schumer and Kaine.
Well, it's odd. It's like we have this giant Rorschach test where everyone sees ink blots and sees crimes everywhere. I mean, the criminal code has defined elements to it. You just don't find these ambiguous crimes. Some people have said this could be treason. For the love of God, treason is defined in the Constitution. This is not treason. Other people have said this could be a Logan Act violation. Well, Logan Act has been used once in 200 years and is facially unconstitutional. One said, well, if you take things of tangible value under the campaign laws and treat information like that, then maybe you have a campaign contribution violation. Well, yeah, but we haven't seen that done. You could also treat it like a panda and say it's an endangered species violation.
Yeah, the Logan Act is the issue of unauthorized citizens negotiating with foreign governments on behalf of the United States. So, just in terms of that reference. So, for the love of God, get a hold of yourself, Schumer and Schiff and Kane and the D.C. press corps. Kathleen in Bridgeport, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, good morning, Dan.
Morning.
How are you?
Morning.
Yes, on the email, I was listening to this last night on the email that the Russians were giving this information to support Donald Trump. Isn't that where the narrative started then? Remember they had the hearings with Comey, and then they came down to saying why Podesta's emails were hacked by the Russians because they wanted to support Donald Trump. So isn't that, do you think, where it started? Because didn't he go to the FISA court in June, Comey?
Well, the email that prompted Comey's investigation, that's unclear. I mean, there's been many reports that suggest that Comey basically got propaganda. He got misinformation, and they suckered him into using that as the predicate for an investigation. Thanks for the call, Kathleen. Bruno in Naperville.
Yeah, just because young Donald, met this Russian lawyer way back in March or whenever it was last year, there's no indication whatsoever of collusion, if even there is a such thing as collusion in this particular, instant. And the fact is, there's nothing illegal. And I'm glad you brought this up earlier because I've been thinking about this for months and months and months. What difference does it make, even if he did get information from the Russians about Hillary Clinton that was accurate and he used it? What's illegal about it? Absolutely nothing. It does nothing, but the only thing it accomplishes, or the thing that it accomplishes, it makes information available to the American voter that they needed to have at the time of the election.
All right. Thanks for the call, Bruno. Appreciate it. We'll pick up this conversation after we check the headlines with Dave Stewart, excuse me.
That's okay. It's 72 degrees in Chicago, 532 on AM 560, The Answer. From the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Sunny afternoon thunderstorms and a high of 91 today. Hundreds of airport workers going on an indefinite strike today. Members of the Service Employees International Union hoping to bring their employers to the bargaining table. Workers at Philadelphia, Newark, Liberty, LaGuardia, Denver, and JFK airports will all be hitting the picket lines. MSNBC host Joe Scarborough says the Trump administration is trying to discredit the media.
That's what they do. They whip people into a frenzy, talk about fake news, and it's been part of the pattern for a long time. They're trying to confuse the truth with lies.
Scarborough also told The Late Show with Stephen Colbert that he's leaving the Republican Party, becoming an independent. The bipartisan coalition in Congress is trying to preserve the funding for the Great Lakes preservation efforts. A House subcommittee will consider a bill today to restore the $300 million that was eliminated in President Trump's budget. It pays for removing toxic pollution, restoring wetlands, and fighting invasive species. Cleanups underway after the storms that rolled through Chicagoland last night. Heavy rains caused flooding on numerous roads throughout the area, including Wheeling, Wilmette, Fox Lake, Grays Lake, and Pingree Grove. Down power lines and branches also reported. Startups and incubators and innovators in the food and beverage industry will be welcomed into a new business outlet called The Hatchery, opening next year in East Garfield Park. Mayor Emanuel says the $30 million facility will feature kitchen, office, and storage space for up to 100 food businesses. Emanuel said that corporate partners like Kellogg and ConAgra know the importance of being on the cutting edge.
To be successful today as a major company, you've got to be looking around the curve. That's what this is about. And it creates an economic opportunity, an economic engine in the west side of the city of Chicago, linking folks in the west side up to one of the most dynamic parts of our economy.
The new businesses will also have a chance to secure financing through microlender Axion. In sports, in the All-Star game, the American League beat the Nationals 2-1 on a Robinson Cano homer in the 10th inning off Cubs closer Wade Davis. The news is a service of Burger King Breakfast. Right now at participating Burger King restaurants, you can get 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. That's 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. It's breakfast on a light, flaky croissant. Only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. Restrictions apply. AM 560 News Time 534. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
Mike Gallagher says work is getting done in Washington, despite what you see from the mainstream media.
An awful lot continues to get done in this Trump White House, day in and day out. Bills are being signed, legislation is being tackled. Yes, healthcare is going to be tricky, it's going to be tough, but if anybody can do it, it's this guy. You know it, and I know.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, best beans, best roast, best coffee. Sheet metal is a big part of commercial and industrial facilities. Look around your business and you'll quickly notice how many components use sheet metal. From fan systems and hoods to machinery guards and much more. For top quality sheet metal work, get to know the pros at Vans Industrial.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, owner of Vans Industrial. Vans Industrial is an industrial sheet metal contractor that can fabricate all types of alloys up to 1-inch plate. We perform jobs including chutes, hoppers, stacks, siding, and dust collection. We work in material handling facilities including steel, chemical, agricultural, food processing plants, and more. Vans Industrial can also design and perform the engineering for a complete turnkey installation. Our quality work is installed by trained mechanics who will work closely with you to make sure the job is done right.
Call 219-931-4881 for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
At 536 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. As you mentioned, there's a lot of high water out there, and there is especially high water in the Pingree Grove area. There were, during the night, reports of cars being stuck in the high water in western King County. 41 remains flooded near 20 and 72. There's also high water in Fox Lake in the area around Wilson Road and Nippersink, and the power is shut off there due to that situation. They're down power lines around 60 North Liberty and Elgin this morning. Tri-State Tollway seeing delays, heavy delays on the southbound side from Atkinson Road to the Lake Forest Oasis, where the flooding has 2 right lanes blocked. There's also some high water on 41, though that's starting to recede. The other Illinois tollways look good. Inbound Eisenhower heavy, Manheim to 17, 31 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. No delays to report on the Edens to the Kennedy. Inbound Stevenson, slow starting around Cicero, 38 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 21 minutes, I-80 to the Merge, Bishop Ford, 25. Traffic service at Cici's. Now at Cici's, bring the party home this summer with 3 medium, 1-topping pizzas to go for just $4 each. Only at Cici's at participating locations for a limited time. Purchase minimum of 3 pizzas. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte at AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Today, look for cloudy skies, a severe afternoon thunderstorm, and a high of 91. Cloudy with more storms tonight, low of 71. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, warm and humid, with just a shower in places, and a high tomorrow 85. Right now, 72 at O'Hare. Next news, 6 o'clock. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now, more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Kelly Financial Services, helping you secure your financial future today. Visit kellyfinancialservicesinc.com.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning, Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQuarrie. And Kristen, so I just want to kind of summarize this if I can. A British tabloid journalist turned PR flack, repping an Azerbaijani pop singer, has set a meeting, or because he was able to set a meeting with the son of the President of the United States, the President of the United States' regime is imperiled.
I think you've got that right. Can you repeat the singer? She is what?
Azerbaijani.
Is that a name or a style or?
Azerbaijan as in a country.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, let's move on to something
all right,
I can contribute to.
You might want to take a look
outside
the
map?
south side from time to time.
Why?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Pick yourself up from the bar at Cork and Kerry and take a look around the globe from time to time.
Oh, the loveliest beer garden around.
Yeah, there's no question. I just want to make sure John Le Carre, if he's listening, has all that so that he can quickly pen his next spy novel. Dave and Racine, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Greetings and salutations.
Yes.
Well, just an analogy you might have with the Donald Jr. having a contact with this lawyer would be kind of analogous to a person receiving one of those fake IRS phone calls and then accusing that person of tax evasion for ignoring it.
Oh, well, how's that? The meeting actually did happen. These are human beings that actually do exist.
If you take that call from the fake IRS agent, but even though, like I say, and you don't pay them, even though they claim to be an IRS agent, and then claim that you're engaging in tax evasion. I know it's kind of a weird analogy. Or having foreign contacts, every person who's received those emails from the Nigerian prince.
Right. Thanks for the call, Dave.
Well, that was a point Donald Trump Jr. tried to make, right? That he can't control what sort of email is sent to him. But I think Politico has a piece up that I think is written by somebody at the Heritage Foundation. One of our earlier callers said there's nothing illegal about A, B, or C. The only, if in fact it could be an election code violation if a piece of information was transmitted that the Federal Election Commission would consider to be a thing of value.
Yeah.
Because it is illegal to contribute a thing of value from a foreign government to an election campaign.
Jonathan Turley addressed that.
What did he say?
And he said, well, yes, that's possible, but the courts have never held that to be the case. And so you could also call it a panda and say it's an endangered species, but you have to get agreement on that interpretation.
Well,
so
right.
then any piece of information that you would do anything with in the context of a campaign it must be reported to the FEC. That's ridiculous.
Well, right, and I think that's my point, is that we are you have people on these cable news shows talking about treason, when in fact, if you were going to try to scrape together some sort of illegality with what occurred, it might be this election campaign violation or something more serious. I believe this came about initially because Jared Kushner had to revise his security clearance paperwork and included this meeting. And so if there is a concerted effort to mislead on your security clearance forms, that's a felony. But that's how far away we are from treason.
And but some of those disclosure reports have been subsequently amended by a number of people, and that's not uncommon as you forget things and so forth if there's a good faith effort.
That's why I said it has to be purposeful withholding of information, and that would be difficult to prove anyway.
But by the way, as an aside, since it was on Dave Stewart's newscast about Morning Joe, he was on doing the late night talk shows because he's a cause celeb for the left now.
He's leaving.
He was already affiliated with No Labels years ago. So Joyka. Speaking of Russian things, all Russian. How many times are you going to leave the GOP? We heard you twice the first time.
Who cares?
Well, exactly.
Who cares? I don't watch that show. It absolutely makes me insane when so-called journalists become superstars and they become the news. And that is the lead item on like a Google search or something today, is that he is leaving the Republican Party. Who cares?
Whatever will the Republican Party do without a guy who left it 4 years ago? Well,
I don't watch the show.
He's a doofus.
He's a doof. The whole show is ridiculous. If you're worried about the dumbing down of America, it has a lot to do with people who watch those morning shows, and that one in particular, they're clowns.
Jordan in Forest Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning. As a joke, I think Donald Trump ought to get in front of the cameras and say, as a joke, we used the information from that meeting to defeat Hillary Clinton in the election, and then have a pause and say, of course there was nothing disclosed, but then maybe maybe that's really the end of the whole thing. If this was the only collusion, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it, maybe that's it.
We're moving. We're moving to the Shecky Green phase of this this event here, where ridicule.
You know, we've got this basically saying, "Yep, this is it, and this is what came out." And let's go over all of these things that we found out about Hillary Clinton that came out of this meeting. You know, and let's just go through the whole thing, because it sounds like they were so disinterested at the start of the meeting because there wasn't anything. They started walking out of the meeting, you know, or looking at their phones. You could do a little skit on this, I think.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Jordan. I'm not sure that more theater of the absurd would help the Trump administration at this point. Now, I should mention the Russian lawyer in question, Natalia Veselnitskaya.
I know, 5 syllables.
Thank you very much.
Really got that down pat.
In addition to denying that she was an agent of the Russian government or in any affiliation with the Russian government in her interview with NBC yesterday, she also had this to say.
They had the impression, it appears, that they were going to be told some information that you had about the DNC. How did they get that impression?
It's quite possible that maybe they were looking for such information. They wanted it so badly.
Yeah, and so this was picked up. They wanted it so badly, and Trump Jr. addressed that in his Hannity interview too, saying, "Yeah, well, that was kind of the basis of the meeting," and then it veered off into talking about the Magnitsky Act, which has to do with Russian banking sanctions, and Putin's response, which was to prohibit American couples from adopting Russian children, and then Trump Jr.'s like, this thing is off the rails, and that was sort of the end of it. He had this on the meet and the attorney in question.
I'd been reading about scandals that people were probably underreporting for a long time, so maybe it was something that had to do with one of those things. I mean, this was her perhaps involvement with the Russian government. So, again, I didn't know there was any credibility. I didn't know if there was anything behind it. I can't vouch for the information. Someone sent me an email. I can't help what someone sends me. I read it. I responded accordingly. And if there was something interesting there, I think it's pretty common. I actually didn't know anything about it. Again, an acquaintance, sent me this email. As a courtesy to him, I said, okay, let's meet. But I didn't know who I was meeting beforehand, never heard of the person, never got the information until they were in the room.
Dennis in Villa Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I just think it's funny how they keep on trying to assign intent on Don Jr. doing everything wrong, but yet Hillary actually did everything wrong and they saw no intent.
Yeah, that is a good point. The Comey invented intent standard. Thanks for the call, Dennis. That is, you impute good intentions or no intentions when it comes to Hillary Clinton, despite mountains of evidence to suggest purposeful action. And Trump Jr. has this sort of nothing meeting, and he is at the epicenter of this grand conspiracy to collude with the Russian government to fix the election. That seems to be a stretch to me.
Did you see Sebastian Gorka's takedown of the CNN reporter who was asking
Allison
about this?
Camerata.
I mean, that is worth a listen. To your listeners, you should pull that up because he addresses that head on. He just won't let it go. It's a really remarkable interview.
This is where he informs Allison Camerata that Nick at Night has higher ratings.
Yes,
than CNN.
people would rather watch cartoons
Right.
than your show.
Well,
and she has no leg to stand on, and he just keeps gnawing at her. It's good, and he brings up a lot of the points that the caller just did about all the stories that the media ignored, including the leaking underway now, but all the stories on Clinton that did not get reported out like this. And he's really fixated on the fact that CNN spent like 30 minutes or something with Kellyanne Conway on this issue. And what else does CNN spend 30 minutes on? Anything. But it's a great exchange.
Well, and just to close out Trump Jr. as well, his interview with Hannity, the question, basically, look, is the email chain that you released yesterday and what you've said on this topic, is that everything?
I've said it publicly. I said it yesterday. More than happy to cooperate with everyone. I just want the truth to get out there. I mean, that's part of why I released all this stuff today. I wanted to get it all out there. They're trying to drag out the story, in all fairness. They have it. They want to drip a little bit today, drip a little bit then. So I was like, here it is. I'm more than happy to be transparent about it, and I'm more than happy to cooperate with everyone.
So as far as you know, as far as this incident is concerned, this is all of it?
This is everything. This is everything.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Your forecast today, 50% chance of showers and thunderstorms likely before noon. Bring your umbrellas. I feel like I bring the rain every time I'm on. It's storming. Some of the storms could produce heavy rainfall, but we should get to partly sunny by the afternoon with a high of 87. Let's get a check of roads.
Don't blame it on the rain, Milli Vanilli.
Oh,
Remember?
Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, we could do our Robin Fab
Don't
routine later.
blame it on the rain.
That was fall and fall.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, Kristen and Dan. Thanks for the musical interlude this morning. And some of the floodwaters are receding, but with that incoming rain, we may see some recurring issues. We're going to keep an eye on that. In Fox Lake, Wilson Road remains flooded near Nippersink. The closure is between Nippersink and 134. There's also a power outage there during the night. The southbound Tri-State has high water at the Lake Forest Oasis, and traffic is jammed from Atkinson Road to the Oasis, where 2 right lanes are blocked. We're seeing routine delays on the Chicago expressways, where there's no real significant water. And other than the Tri-State, the tollways are clear. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.125%. APR 3.82%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to quickenloans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Yes, indeed, summertime. Another hot one. Wait, gonna be a little bit cooler today. Back to hot, gonna be windy. Maybe a thunderstorm mixed in for good measure. Up and down and up and down. The climate is always changing. Your company's heating and cooling system really gets a workout in Chicagoland. Be ready for anything this summer. Call Air Comfort and get your business's cooling system tuned up and running at peak performance. You see, the Air Comfort problem solvers can find small problems before they become big problems. Plus, proper maintenance will keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your chiller is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key to keep your climate from changing is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
It's absolutely amazing that the combination of these capsules improves your health. It does tell you the value of food and nutrition.
I actually can feel a difference. I really can.
I love the product. It's wonderful. I can't live without it.
It's really helping me. Every time I take it, my body says, thank you.
This is the first winter that I went through that I didn't get a cold.
I love my fruits and veggies. I'm a line dancer, and I just turned 78, and it has made a big difference in my stamina and just my overall well-being, and I have so enjoyed them. I just love taking them and what they do for me.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
I love my Catholic school. I learn about God every day and live my faith by helping others. I also plan to get into the high school of my choice thanks to the challenging academics taught by caring teachers in a nurturing environment.
You just heard my daughter talk about why she loves her Catholic school. And as a parent, I may not be able to control what is happening in our culture, but I can control how my children are educated. I do that by sending them to a Catholic school where they are formed in the image of Jesus Christ so that they have the moral foundation to make the right choices based on the teachings of the Catholic Church. If you want to provide your child with a moral compass to navigate our culture, consider sending him or her to a Catholic school.
Now you can join me at my school. Participating Catholic schools in the Joliet Diocese, in conjunction with the Catholic Education Foundation, are offering transfer grants of $1,500 to elementary school students and $3,000 to high school students who transfer from a public, private, charter, or homeschool. Restrictions apply. For more information, go to weteachmore.com.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're purchasing a home, give me a call. A borrower called me after contacting the lender, who boasts about having the lowest rates and closing costs because he thought my competitors' closing costs were excessively high. I compared loan estimates and the interest rates were identical, but our definitions of low closing costs were a lot different. Fact is, my closing costs were over $1,000 less than the lender claiming to have the lowest closing costs. When purchasing a home, you can either work with the lender, who talks and talks and talks and talks about low closing costs, or you can work with me, a lender who actually has low closing costs. Then think of all the things you could do with an extra $1,000 when we originate your loan, like pay for the movers, buy a new computer, new TV, maybe new carpet for your new house. I've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License 4358, and MLS 19186.
All Nissans are created equal. It's Nissan of St. Charles that makes the difference. At Nissan of St. Charles, we go the extra mile to make sure your happiness lasts as long as you own your vehicle. Every new Nissan or used vehicle we sell comes with our exclusive Lifetime Advantage warranty. So when you get your new Nissan at Nissan of St. Charles, you'll drive with peace of mind, knowing it's backed by our exclusive warranty that lasts the lifetime of your vehicle. And be sure to ask about our Lifetime Tire Program. Where else can you get a great deal on a new Nissan, a Lifetime Advantage warranty, and a Lifetime Tire Program? The little things make all the difference. While all Nissans may be created equal, the difference is clearly Nissan of St. Charles. Located on North Avenue in the heart of St. Charles. Or visit us online at nissanofstcharles.com. That's nissanofstcharles.com. Nissan of St. Charles. Experience the difference.
According to the forecast, it's going to be a long, hot summer. Russian collusion. James Comey.
Obstruction of justice. Impeachment. White House leaks. Jeff Sessions. Climate change. Islamic terrorism. Vladimir Putin.
Join AM 560's Joe Walsh for a very special event on Tuesday, August 22nd. It's the Summer of Trump, live at the Bolingbrook Golf Club, hosted by Joe Walsh and featuring Hugh Hewitt and Guy Benson. Tickets are available now at 560theanswer.com/summer. That's 560theanswer.com/summer.
At 5:57, checking the roads from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. On the Tri-State Tollway southbound, traffic is at a standstill from Atkinson Road to the Lake Forest Oasis, where 2 right lanes are blocked due to the high water. Edens is fine. Kennedy inbound, heavy out of the River Road till to Cumberland. 21 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 20 on Eisenhower. Delays start at Wolf Road. 35 minutes Thorndale to Post Office downtown. Outbound, there's a crash partially blocking the ramp to the southbound Veterans Memorial Tollway, 355. Not a significant delay there yet. On Stevenson, heavy. Lamont Road to Cass, Harlem to Pulaski, and State to Lakeshore Drive. It's 44 minutes, 355 to the drive. Outbound, it's good. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic service. Napa Auto Parts. It's that time of year when a scorching hot day can pop out of nowhere. So the folks at Napa Auto Parts would like to remind you, if you can fry an egg on the sidewalk, you can also fry your car battery. Head to Napa. It'll help you keep your car running longer, stronger. That's Napa know-how. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
And now your forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Brian May.
A severe afternoon thunderstorm today. Otherwise, a shower or thunderstorm this morning. Breezy, hot and humid with clouds and sun. high 91. Remaining warm and humid tonight, low 74. I'm Brian May on AM 560. The Answer.
The flash flood warning for Chicago has been extended now until 11 this morning. 72 degrees at O'Hare. AM 560 News Time 5:59. In the news from the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. The Cook County soda tax will remain blocked until at least July 21st. A judge extended the temporary restraining order, halting the penny per ounce tax from being collected. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle says 1,100 county employees could be laid off starting next week if the tax isn't restored.
So if we don't have revenue, we end up laying off doctors and nurses, prosecutors and public defenders, and jail guards. That's where our money goes.
A hearing will be held on the 21st on the lawsuit filed by the Illinois Retail Merchants Association. A Mexican immigrant is taking the Chicago Police Department to court, blaming them for mistakenly listing him in a gang database and thus costing him a chance to avoid deportation. And Chicago police are seeing a new crime trend, armed robberies by groups of preteen boys, including one who could be as young as 6. AM 560 News Time 5:59. News, a service of Cici's. Now at Cici's, bring the party home this summer with 3 medium one-topping pizzas to go for just $4 each. Only at Cici's at participating locations for a limited time. A purchase minimum of 3 pizzas. More of Chicago's Morning Answer coming up after Fox News. It's 6 o'clock on WIND Chicago.
A tweet in defense of his son. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump just wrote his son Donald did a good job last night. Open, transparent, and innocent. Then the president reiterated this is the greatest witch hunt in political history. Sad.
In retrospect, I probably would have done things a little differently.
That was Donald Trump Jr. talking to Fox last night about his now controversial meeting with a Russian lawyer during the campaign. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave Trump Jr. told Fox's Sean Hannity he agreed to meet with a Russian lawyer in June of 2016 to gather research on Democrat Hillary Clinton.
Someone has information on our opponent. You know, things are going a million miles an hour. You know what it's like to be on a campaign.
He said the meeting came before what he called Russia mania, and
this is the first time we've ever done any of this. This is, I'm still way in the learning curve on all of this.
Trump Jr. released an email chain that led to the meeting. In it, a publicist said a Crown prosecutor of Russia was offering sensitive information that was part of Russia's support for his father's campaign. Dave?
Rachel, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff, in probing the Russian campaign meddling, wants Trump Jr. to testify, calling his explanations evolving.
Originating with denials, we never had these meetings, then forced acknowledgement once the meetings were disclosed, and then a shifting explanation about what the meetings were about.
Can Republicans unite around the next plan to replace Obamacare? GOP Senate Leader Mitch McConnell will unveil the revised version tomorrow and hopes for a vote next week. At least 10 Republicans opposed the original bill. McConnell has also delayed the August recess by 2 weeks, saying there's other unfinished business.
We've got the debt ceiling, we've got the FDA user fee, and other important legislation that we need to address.
An Iranian cancer researcher is sent back to Iran with his family last night. He came to Boston to work but was detained for reasons said to be unrelated to the president's travel ban on people from Iran and 5 other mostly Muslim countries considered terrorists. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.25%. APR 3.75%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
You love your pet, and they love you. They trust you to care and watch over them. So when they get sick, take the pet out of petrified and bring them to Merrick Animal Hospital. Merrick is the place of the fear-free vet visit. Dr. Hosek and his staff strive to make your pet's exam as stress-free as possible. They use calming pheromones, tasty treats, and sedation as needed. And for the feline owner, they have a cats-only exam room. Merrick Animal Hospital is on Ogden Avenue in Brookfield, 1 mile east of LaGrange Road, serving the community for over 80 years. Don't miss your chance to meet the doctors, staff, local pet businesses, and veterinary product companies at a block party, Saturday, July 22nd from 1 to 5. There's free food, raffles, bounce house, and face painting for the kids. Well-behaved pets are welcome. For a limited time, new clients get your first exam free, a $49 value. Call 708-485-6500, 708-485-6500, or visit brookfieldvets.com. That's brookfieldvets.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Tasty Catering. Company picnics taste better with tastykatering.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune, Ed Board, and we're talking about Donald Trump Jr. and his release yesterday of an email chain that led to the meeting that he had with the Russian attorney. That is now the subject of a lot of loose talk on Capitol Hill from Schiff and Schumer and Kaine, charges of smoking gun with respect to collusion, perhaps even evidence of treason. Not kidding. That's what Hillary Clinton's running mate, Suburban Dad on the Download, Tim Kaine, said. So here's what we have. You have a British tabloid journalist turned PR flack repping an Azerbaijani pop singer who set up a meeting with a Russian attorney and the President of the United States' son, or candidate for President of the United States' son at the time, in order to rig the 2016 American election. I mean, the Manchurian Candidate has nothing on this story. That's essentially the contention. And Democrats think they finally have something that they can level up as evidence to the truth of everything they're saying. And frankly, there's some Republicans who are getting a little jumpy, some conservatives getting a little jumpy too. David French writing in National Review online, there is now evidence that senior Trump officials attempted to collude with Russia. In his own statement, Trump Jr. confirmed that he had entered the meeting seeking op research and claimed that the conversation only moved to the Magnitsky Act, a sanctions law that led Vladimir Putin to retaliate by blocking American adoptions of Russian children, after it became clear that the lawyer had no meaningful information on Clinton. And then the next shoe dropped. This is the email making it clear that the lawyer was acting as part of a Russian government effort to aid his father's candidacy. And that's what French puts his hat on with respect to the allegation that there was an effort to collude. And Donald Trump Jr.'s response to this exchange with Rob Goldstone, the former British tabloid reporter, seems we have some time, and if it is what you say, I love it, especially later in the summer. And again, later in the email chain, the Russian lawyer is described as a Russian government agent. Now, that's the British tabloid reporter PR flack's characterization. Do you believe him? Do you not believe him? I don't know. It's difficult to make judgments about character and honesty from, stale email chains or even interviews on NBC. But so you have Rob Goldstone saying one thing. You have Natalia Veselnitskaya, the Russian attorney in question, saying something different.
Have you ever worked for the Russian government? Do you have connections to the Russian government?
Нет. No.
I'm not taking her at face value, but I'm not taking Rob Goldstone at face value either.
I should turn on my button.
Yeah, there
I
you
need
go.
more coffee this morning.
It's good. Coffee leads to longer lives. There's new study.
Yeah, I just saw that. I saw that. So even in French's piece, though, he uses the word collusion. And I'm just, still don't understand what is collusion is not criminal, right?
Correct.
Collusion is.
There's no legal. It doesn't have a precise legal meaning.
It doesn't, but it the way that really that word should be stricken. We shouldn't be using it. Reporters shouldn't be using it. And if the idea was that there was going to be some sort of information exchanged or intervention, do the American public not understand that the U.S. intervenes in foreign elections routinely? That there have been a number of studies that have shown different examples, most of them covert.
Well, yeah, we've helped to depose particular regimes. Right. This is no secret.
So, the idea that we have Comey saying with confidence not a single vote was changed. We know that propaganda against...
Forget Comey. You have Loretta Lynch. You have the entire Obama administration saying that.
Exactly.
Now, but the point that they would make, to just play devil's advocate here, is attempted collusion and we failed is not a particularly good argument. That's what Krauthammer said.
Well, it's a hell of a defense to say that your collusion was incompetent and that it didn't work out.
Yeah, that's not a great defense.
But again, when you work on a political campaign, you look for opposition research on your opponent. It happens all the time. Is that collusion? Is it just collusion because it was a foreign government potentially?
Yes. The issue is who you're allying with to obtain information, and it's one thing to enlist unsavory characters or people that may have an axe to grind.
Which happens all the time.
Right.
Which happens all the time. Mm-hmm.
But it's another thing, one would argue, and I think there's legitimacy to this position, to enlist the aid of an adversarial foreign government. The point is that's being assumed because of how Rob Goldstone characterized this attorney in the setup to this meeting. That's not what the attorney says. And now then the argument becomes, well, Trump Jr. thought that's the kind of individual he was going to meet with. So there's the evidence of the guilty heart, that he was open to the idea of colluding with someone who was reportedly a agent of the Russian government to obtain damaging information on Hillary Clinton. Is any of this illegal? No. But it undermines, arguably, the Trump narrative that there was no effort by him or anybody in his campaign to enlist the Russian government in any material way to aid his election. That's the issue.
And his repeated claims that no one on his campaign had contacts. They set the bar really high, and then they keep having to walk back what they initially said.
Although with respect to President Trump individually, he's also said, hey, go wherever you want to go. Take it wherever you want to go. So if people did wrongdoing, then they did wrongdoing, and they should be held accountable. But there's a difference between what you would say is, politically unseemly or even unethical and something that is criminal. And this is the distinction that Democrats on the Hill want to eliminate. Of course they do. But I want to ask people if they agree with what David French writes in National Review. So coming from a conservative perspective, yes, he was not a never-Trumper, but he was antagonistic to Trump. He has been critical of Trump before, but so have I. That's not a disqualifier. Address the substance of what he's saying. At long last, we can now put to bed the notion that the Russian investigation is little more than frivolous partisan harassment. It casts an entirely different light on the president's fury and frustration at its continued progress. As of now, we should have zero confidence that we know all or even most material facts. We should have zero confidence that Trump's frustration is entirely due to his feeling like an innocent man caught in the crosshairs of crazed conspiracy theorists. It now appears that his son-in-law and campaign chair, met with a lawyer who they were told was part of an official Russian government effort to impact the presidential election. The Russian investigation isn't a witch hunt anymore. If it ever was, it's a national necessity. Do you agree with that assessment from conservative David French? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro, text line. And while you're contemplating that question, I just want to brighten the line between politics and criminality. I know in Illinois. They're synonymous, but you have to have a reference to an actual statute or to a provision in the Constitution. That's the rule of law. Criminalizing politics is the rule of men. So let's distinguish between the two, as Jonathan Turley, George Washington University law professor, did yesterday.
Well, it's odd. It's like we have this giant Rorschach test where everyone sees ink blots and sees crimes everywhere. I mean, the criminal code has defined elements to it. You just don't find these ambiguous crimes. Some people have said this could be treason. For the love of God, treason is defined in the Constitution. This is not treason. Other people have said this could be a Logan Act violation. Well, Logan Act has been used once in 200 years and is facially unconstitutional. One said, well, if you take things of tangible value under the campaign laws and treat information like that, then maybe you have a campaign contribution violation. Well, yeah, but we haven't seen that done. You could also treat it like a panda and say it's an endangered species violation.
Yeah. Well, I just want to let's just understand the line. So that's the I think a fair representation of the question as to criminality. Now, Krauthammer is on the same path as David French when it comes to the politics.
The defense of the Trump administration for the last 6 months, which I supported, was there doesn't appear to be a there there. I was saying this is a cover-up in search of a crime. There wasn't any evidence of collusion. There were lots of coincidences, lots of meetings, lots of non-disclosures, but that's all circumstantial. There was nothing to show that the Trump administration was aware of or supporting the Russian interference in our elections. And this just showed up today in black and white, released by Don Jr. himself. This is not released in the anti-Trump media. So you see it in black and white. This is not to say that collusion is a crime. It never was. But it is to say that the denial of collusion is very weak right now because it looks as if, I don't know if there's any other explanation, Don Jr. was receptive to receiving this information.
I mean, I love Krauthammer. I'm still struggling with the fact that you had people coming to a meeting as part of opposition research, which we know happens all the time. And there was no furtherance of the act. There was no further communication. So just having a meeting, just seeking out the information, that potentially crosses the line into collusion by someone who we now know wasn't even connected to the Russian government. This person was not connected. At least she says she wasn't, and there's been no evidence to suggest that she was.
Right, but the question is, did Trump Jr. and Kushner and Manafort think she was? And what does that say about their disposition with respect to aid from a hostile foreign government?
Well, sure, but they're gathering information. Like I'm saying, there was no furtherance of the act. There was no just having a meeting.
Well, right.
Gathering information. I mean, does this shed great light onto their ethics and their know-how and their naivete, actually? I mean, of course this doesn't look good. The politics are bad. But there's so much ugliness that happens in campaigns and in trying to dig up dirt on other individuals. The Clintons are masters at it. So I'm still struggling with how, since there was no furtherance of the act, how just simply having a meeting or exchanging emails about this now has them fall into criminal territory.
Well, it doesn't. And in terms of the mindset, what was Donald Trump Jr. thinking when he was broached with this possible meeting? He answered that question on Hannity last night.
Honestly, my takeaway when all of this was going on is that someone has information on our opponent. Things are going a million miles an hour. You know what it's like to be on a campaign. We just won Indiana, but we're talking about a contested convention. Things are going a million miles an hour again. And, hey, wait a minute. I've heard about all these things, but maybe this is something. I should hear him out.
That's what he thought going in, and now in retrospect?
I think, like I said, in retrospect, I probably would have done things a little differently. Again, this is before the Russia mania. This is before they were building it up in the press. For me, this was opposition research. They had something, maybe concrete evidence to all the stories I'd been hearing about, but they were probably underreported for, years, not just during the campaign. So I think I wanted to hear it out. But really, it went nowhere, and it was apparent that that wasn't what the meeting was actually about.
I think it is a relevant point that, in part it doesn't excuse all of it, because I think there's naivete and sloppiness, maybe worse afoot, but it does bear on this discussion that this is June of 2016, where there was not the everyday or 18 hours of the 24-hour broadcast day for CNN and MSNBC of Russian collusion allegations and stories and anonymous sources. It wasn't the central reason for the D.C. press corps' existence in June of 2016 as it is today. So there wasn't the heightened sensitivity in June of 2016 that there is today. That's a relevant point that he makes. Frank in St. Charles, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, one part of the puzzle that seems to be missing here is in Trump Jr. Wasn't he a little irritated that, hey, wait, you called me to a meeting here and you said you had some dirt on Hillary, and now you're talking about adoption? I mean, something's fishy there.
Well, that's what he said in the Hannity interview. He essentially suggested that the meeting kind of was short, and Manafort was on the phone, and Kushner left early when it was clear that this was sort of going nowhere. And then he also said that his colleague or his passing associate who set the meeting kind of apologized for the meeting on the way out the door. I could just tell you what Junior said on that topic. I mean, it's a fair question to raise. That was his answer.
I mean, how do you think this would have worked? Let's say a while back they asked him, have you had any contact with any Russians concerning, election tampering or anything like that? And if he would have responded by saying, well, we've done opposition research, and we really can't reveal what our sources are, that would point to yes would be the answer.
Well, yeah, although I guess, I mean, he also said in the Hannity interview, didn't know who this was, didn't know the background. So that she wasn't vetted, apparently, or not particularly well. Goldstone alleged one thing about her in the email as we played, or as we discussed, and then she alleged something very different about herself in an interview with NBC yesterday. What's the truth? I don't know, but there's certainly conflicting accounts.
Well, collusion isn't necessarily a crime, and it isn't necessarily improper if you're getting information from, the ambassador of Portugal. So what? We can't reveal our sources, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Right. Thanks for the call, Frank. Sure. Tom in Schaumburg.
Talk about outright hypocrisy. Every time a Muslim uses a bomb to blow people up, the first thing the left does is tell us we better not condemn all Muslims for what one of them did. And that's precisely what they have done to all Russians. They've condemned every Russian in the world, the entire country of Russia. They've condemned all Russian leaders. They've even expelled and deported Russian diplomats, and we still don't know the name of even one Russian who's been indicted for doing anything wrong. And every single American who even talks to a Russian is guilty of collusion. This is outrageous. It's a witch hunt. It's a joke. And the American people ought to be disgusted with all these grossly overpaid talking heads who come on TV every night. ABC, NBC, CBS start every broadcast with breaking news. Trump is a joke. He's in bed with the Russians, blah, blah, blah. It's all insane. And as far as opposition research, would somebody please explain to me, where did Obama get the sealed divorce documents of his opponent that he used to embarrass and smear one of his congressional opponents?
Yeah, thanks for
Where did that come from?
Thanks for the call, Tom. It didn't come from the Russian government, as far as I know, and that's really germane here. Number one. Number two, Pussy Riot has been cleared. They have no connection to any of the Russian collusion. So there's some Russians that that are held harmless in this whole saga.
Yes, let's put that out there.
Yes, I did.
I do think there's some responsibility, just the lack of vetting that the Trump campaign did, not just with this meeting, but even hiring somebody like Paul Manafort. He's sort of the nexus of all of this. Not vetting his dealings with pro-political parties in Ukraine. He seems to me to be the problem. And so
but he also concedes without, and Hannity should have pressed him on the specifics about, in retrospect, I would have done things differently. Be more detailed. What would you have done differently? Because people are criticizing you for being naive, for not doing proper vetting at a level like this, at a presidential campaign. Don't you think you need to be more circumspect? It would have been interesting to hear what Trump Jr.'s answer to that question was. But he has regrets, and I would like to understand if it's regrets just how it turned out, or it's regrets thinking about how it was handled from the beginning to the end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Manafort resigned, 6 months, 5 months after he was hired because he was becoming too much of an issue and there was so much damage control surrounding him. But back to that Hannity interview, that's why I don't know if it's just television news interviews, but there was no follow-up. They really just gave him the floor and Hannity didn't press him.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing you have to consider, too, if you want to just kind of rally to the defense of Donald Trump Jr. and the Trump administration. And, I just want to kind of distill the issues and, raise questions. One of the questions you have to ask yourselves, if you're trying to come at this in a fair-minded way, is how would you be reacting if this was the same story, but the principals were Hillary Clinton and all of her campaign aides and progeny, her family members? Would you be reacting the same way? Would you be as open-minded to the possibilities of innocent mistakes? Would you construe things the same way? Or forget even Hillary Clinton, because it's hard to give her the benefit of the doubt. But, just pick a just generic Democrat. Would you be looking at it the same way? Or are you essentially holding Trump and his staff and family to a different standard because you're rooting for his success? I mean, it's just something you have to consider if you want to look at this on the substance, on the merits, and not just through a partisan lens. Scott on the West Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Scott, it's been a while.
Yeah, hi, Dan. I've been listening, but not calling in. Well, thanks for taking my call, by the way. This is really a lot to do about nothing. What the left is good at is keeping the narrative going of the Russian interference. And they've already done it for way longer than it needs to be. And we as conservatives, it's time that we stop listening to it. I'm personally tired of it. And yesterday I turned off Rush Limbaugh because he's talking about it. There's no reason to talk about it because there's nothing there. He didn't do anything wrong. It's nothing.
All right, thanks. I'm properly chastened, Scott. Thanks for calling in.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
All right, I know you're bombarded with MyPillow ads everywhere you turn, not only from me, but on TV, billboards, and in print. But the reason is simple. It's the best pillow available. You deserve a restful and relaxing summer. And the July radio deal using my name, Amy, in the promo code is the best deal available. It's the 50% discount on a MyPillow 4-pack, including 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for half the price. You can move the fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll sleep deep and won't wake up to a stiff neck or headache. And our good friend Mike Lindell manufactures them in America using only American labor. You can wash and dry them. They're hypoallergenic, and you get a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So get your 50% off the 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy or visit MyPillow.com. That's 800-489-0201, promo code Amy.
Don't spend another night worrying about unfiled tax returns or the letters or the calls you're getting from the IRS. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, there's actually good news. The IRS has recently enacted changes in the tax law called the Fresh Start Initiative, specifically for troubled taxpayers who owe the IRS. You may be able to settle your entire tax debt for up to 85% off the original amount owed, including penalties and interest, if you qualify. Call Mary Karpowitz of locally owned Comprehensive Tax Solutions for your free consultation. No matter your tax issue, Mary Karpowitz, an enrolled agent and certified tax resolution specialist, will show you the difference between night and day. Quit hiding from the IRS. Call now so you can enjoy what matters most. And don't call a toll-free number to represent you. Call Mary, 708-478-6770, 708-478-6770, or go to resolveyourtaxproblems.com. Call now, 708-478-6770.
Message and data rates may apply.
Does forgetting your password make your blood boil? If technology is supposed to make life easier, then why is it so difficult to log into apps and websites? We're about to simplify your life now by giving you free access to Dashlane, the award-winning app that remembers and protects all of your passwords, making it easy to securely access all of your accounts. Get Dashlane free for life on your favorite device right now by texting PASS to 543-543. Dashlane makes life online blissfully simple, safe, and secure. Trusted by over 7 million users and 6,000 companies. Top-rated in functionality, security, and ease of use. Honored with over 70,000 five-star ratings. Dashlane, where passwords are never lost, never forgotten, and always secure. Unlock free access to Dashlane for life on your favorite device right now by texting PASS to 543-543. After texting, please enjoy a sigh of relief. That's PASS to 543-543.
Hi, this is Jeff from Basement Flood Protector. Finishing a basement requires a tremendous amount of time and money, transforming concrete walls into living space better suited for children playing, friends watching football, or just hanging out. But how many of you made the investment in a sump pump system that ensures the protection of your new living space in the event of heavy rains, mechanical failures, and power outages? You went from concrete to carpet, maybe concrete to hardwood, and in the event of a flood, you're going to go from squeegee to replacing floors. However, by joining our network of 25,000 customers, you will enjoy the same peace of mind knowing your basement is safe regardless of weather conditions because of early warning mechanisms and simply having equipment that just works as expected. We are Basement Flood Protector. Protecting homes from flooding is all we do. I invite you to call today at 800-238-0822 or visit don'tflood.com to learn more and for no-nonsense pricing. That's 800-238-0822 or don'tflood.com. Use the call letters of this station for a 5% discount.
Hey, protect your firearms and valuables in the best. A Liberty Safe from Maxson Shooter's Supply. Maxson is Illinois' largest Liberty Safe dealer and stocks the complete line of Liberty Safes the best money can buy. Not in stock? Maxson will order it. You can pick it up at Maxson or have it delivered and installed almost anywhere in your home. And for a limited time, Liberty is offering interest-free financing for qualified customers. Owning a Liberty Safe has never been so easy. No money down and 0% financing for year one. Hey, visit libertysafe.com for details. For over 25 years, millions of American homes have trusted Liberty Safes to protect their guns, keep them out of reach of children, and protect their valuables from theft and fire. Liberty stands behind every safe with a lifetime warranty. If anyone tries to break into your Liberty Safe, they'll repair or replace it for free. Hey, choose the best. Trust a Liberty Safe from Maxson Shooter Supply in Des Plaines. Visit MAXONshooters.com or shop online at libertysafe.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy J. this morning. And quickly, Daryl in Maryville. You've got a special investigator for Dems?
Hi, Dan and Chris.
Morning.
I think it's time for the Democrats to get to the bottom of all this. President Trump is bringing Lieutenant Clouseau from Paris, France.
Bringing who from Inspector Clouseau from France to be the special investigator. Thank you so much, Daryl. Appreciate that cartoonish idea and consistent with the cartoonish stories we cover. Coming up, we'll try and get our feet planted firmly on the ground. We're going to ask Congressman Peter Roskam if we have a Republican-controlled Congress or just a bunch of mediocre intellects Earl-shived into looking like paperweights. But first, we check the news with David Stewart.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Kristen. Good morning. 72 degrees in Chicago at 6:32. On AM 560, The Answer from the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, the home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Sunny skies at some afternoon thunderstorms possible, high 91. Emails show that Donald Trump Jr. knew that he was planning to meet with a Russian government lawyer in June of last year and that he expected to get information about Hillary Clinton that came from the Russian government. Trump Jr. tells Fox News that he didn't even bother telling his dad about it.
There was nothing to tell. I mean, I wouldn't have even remembered it until you start scouring through the stuff. It was literally just a wasted 20 minutes, which was a shame.
He said he would have handled things differently, perhaps, but he says he did nothing wrong. The fate of more than 100 Iraqi immigrants who face deportation will be decided in federal court in Detroit, not in immigration court. Liliana Burtis' father's among them, and she admits it's hard to talk to him when he has the chance to call from detention in Youngstown, Ohio.
Sometimes I feel like I'd rather not be able to speak to him because that I don't know when I'm going to see him again.
The stay on deporting immigrants will be in effect until July 24th. Chicago police took a man into custody last night, ending a barricade situation in South Chicago that had lasted for more than 4 hours. A SWAT team entered the home in the 8400 block of South Luella about 11:30 last night. The man was arrested without incident. It's not clear if he was armed. Fire last night in the West Garfield Park neighborhood left 9 people homeless but caused no injuries. Firefighters responded about 2:15 a.m. to the blaze in the single-family bungalow in the 4700 block of West Ohio. The fire was out in about 15 minutes. 4 children, 5 adults were displaced. A new study finds that the average driver in Chicago pays more for parking at a meter than in any other major city in the country. The study by INRIX finds parking for 2 hours in the downtown area $13. San Francisco, $12, and even New York City is less, $7. In sports, in the All-Star Game, the American League beat the Nationals 2-1 on a Robinson Cano homer in the 10th off Cubs closer Wade Davis. The Sox' Avisail Garcia was 0-2. In the NBA Summer League, the Bulls beat the Wizards 82-73. News and service of Napa Auto Parts. It's that time of year when a scorching hot day can pop out of nowhere. So the folks at Napa Auto Parts would like to remind you that if you can fry an egg on the sidewalk, you can also fry your car battery. Head to Napa, where they'll help keep your car running longer and stronger. That's Napa know-how. AM 560 News Time, 6:34. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
The temperature this summer is on the rise, and everyone is talking about one person, President Donald Trump. As controversy swirls around his presidency and the Democrats and the mainstream media take aim, what will happen next? Join AM 560's Joe Walsh for the Summer of Trump, Tuesday, August 22nd at the Bolingbrook Golf Club, also featuring Hugh Hewitt and Guy Benson. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/summer. That's 560theanswer.com/summer.
Right now with Galaxy. Buy one cabinet, get one free. Visit us online at galaxyhome.com to schedule your free in-home estimate. Save an additional $500 when you book right now.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
At 6:36 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. In the Libertyville area, there's some heavy flooding, and right now Milwaukee North Line trains are not able to get past the high water, so trains are stopped right now in both directions near Libertyville. And in Libertyville, there's a closure of 137 between 21 and Center Avenue. Waukegan has closures of Washington between Green Bay Road and Tusky, and Sunset between Delaney and Northwestern. The Tri-State Tollway has heavy southbound delays from Eau Plaine to the Lake Forest Oasis. That's due to high water blocking the 2 right lanes. Edens inbound is heavy starting at Peterson. 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. Kennedy, 29 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 25. The Eisenhower, it's a 45-minute drive from Thorndale to the post office, outbound 38. Stevenson, 45 minutes, 3:55 to the drive, outbound 36. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 23 minutes from I-80 to the merge. Traffic service of Dove Men Plus Care. You hear that 91% of guys that use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommended. Dove Men Plus Care user Daniel said his armpits aren't the worst thing at the gym anymore.
Make the locker room a better place. Pick up some new Dove Men Plus gear for your gym bag at your local retailer. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. We are under a flash flood warning until 11 this morning. Otherwise, a severe afternoon thunderstorm possible with a high of 91. Severe storms with flash flooding again possible tonight, a low of 71. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a shower and a high of 85. Right now, 72 degrees at O'Hare. Next news, 7 o'clock. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now, more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Secure Retirement Radio with host Raj Shah. Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And we spent a lot of time talking about Trump Jr., his interview on Hannity yesterday, the Democrats, the law firm of Schiff, Schumer, and Kane doing their best to confuse the American public as to the difference between politics and criminal conduct, collusion being really a political word, not a legal term, and also necessarily talking about how the email chain that Donald Trump Jr. released yesterday, showing the communication between him and this British tabloid reporter turned PR flack to set this meeting with this Russian interest, how that went down, what he said, and does it undermine the Trump administration's defense and pushback against the D.C. press corps on this whole matter of allegations of colluding with the Russians to fix or otherwise wire the 2016 election for the now President of the United States. And then you have to ask the additional question, I think, Kristen, is what does this do in terms of distraction, diminishment of political capital for the president as it pertains to his policy agenda? Hey, remember that?
Mm-hmm. Barely. I mean, it's not just his tweets now that are sidetracking healthcare reform, tax reform. Now he has this. Now his own son is involved in this to a deeper degree. Where credibility is important. So I don't know. We'll have to ask Congressman Roscom how much this latest glitch is impacting movement of policy on Capitol Hill.
Well, why don't we do just that? We're pleased to be joined by the aforesaid Representative Peter Roscom, GOP congressman from the 6th District, the Western Burbs. Peter, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Dan, Kristen, great to be with you guys. Thanks for having me on.
So McConnell has pushed off the recess on the Senate side and trying to push towards a vote on Obamacare replace. But what is your read on where that is and add in the Donald Trump Jr. context?
So the Donald Trump Jr. stuff is not helpful, obviously, but it's also, a little bit of a, as you guys were talking, it's a distraction and it's cumulative. So, you'd rather not have to deal with it, but it's there. Look, I think the Senate gets this done when push comes to shove, because the option of being a party that has campaigned against Obamacare and has made proposals about these changes, not being able to get that done, I think is just outrageous. So you're going to continue to see pressure on the Senate. The House had a couple, the bill got pulled back and so forth several times, and it was a pretty arduous, bumpy process. But when it all came down to it, it got out of the House. The Senate now is in a situation where, God bless them, they are now moving from professional critics, that is, senators telling you for months about what they won't do and what they don't like. Now, all of a sudden, they've got to step forward and say, all right, this is affirmatively what we're for. So I think McConnell's no fool. He's putting the August pressure on, saying we're getting this done or we're not going home.
And for the what they're for part, would you suggest that what Cruz and Lee have proposed in the Senate to, from their perspective, and I think it makes some sense, to do a better job of reducing premiums is to allow states to offer, providers, I should say, to offer plans that don't necessarily include all of the components required under Obamacare, as long as they have at least one offering that does. Is that something that in conference that you would receive you would receive in a welcoming fashion in the House?
Yeah, let me put it this way. I think that the House has this product that it passed that I voted for and that I'm for. That said, if the Senate can improve this, if the Senate can deal with getting premiums lower, if the Senate can figure out a better approach in terms of taxes or any of these other things, let's take a look at it. And so here's what I think the good news is. You've got Senators Cruz and Lee, who in the past have not been actively participating, I would argue, over the past few years. They've been largely criticizing. Now they're actively participating. And these are two smart guys that know the score and they know what's going on. And the fact that they're in negotiating, proposing back and forth, I think is a good foreshadowing of what's to come.
So you mentioned that, when push comes to shove, this will get out. But aren't we at shove? And what, aside from the two of them, what would you identify as the key members of the Senate who need to get on board with this? What are the key pressure points, both in terms of membership and issues at this point, that have to be resolved in the next few days?
I don't know if it's few days, Kristen, but I do know. I mean, I take your point. It's upon us, basically. So here's what you got to figure out, and it's pretty intuitive. You got to figure out how to keep the conservative wing of the party, that is Cruz, Lee, and so forth, in the Senate on the program. You've also got to figure out how to reach out to senators like Dean Heller from Nevada or Shelley Moore Capito from West Virginia. Both of whom represent states that Trump won, but also represent a constituency that has, become, where Medicaid plays a big role in those states. So that's McConnell's job, basically, to put that together, to put that coalition together. And look, I think when it all comes down to it, the thought of not getting this done is so unpleasant that it's going to motivate people on the edge to say, okay, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and let's move forward.
Do you believe that your colleagues in both chambers believe that if you don't get Obamacare replaced done, you are likely to lose your majorities?
I think it is. Don't dance me out on the edge of that plank, but let me put it this way. It becomes a very difficult thing to go back to a political base and say, give us your votes. And I think you would find in 2018 the political left would be completely energized, and the base of the Republican Party would be depressed, and that's not good politics.
I wanted to ask you about some stateside issues, having been a former member of the General Assembly.
What issues?
Anything going on? Anything going on down there?
What's your assessment? What's your bird's eye view on both Rauner and whether or not he has made some missteps, and the Republicans who flipped and actually supported an income tax hike in your state?
I think so. We're trying to move. The rest of the country is trying to move the exact opposite direction of the state of Illinois, basically. And I'm playing an active role in the tax reform debate. We're trying to lower taxes. We're trying to get everything moving in a different direction, and that's clearly the better pathway. Now, were there some Republicans who voted for it and are complicit in the passage of that tax hike? Yes, there were. Could they have stopped it? Yes, they could have. But it wasn't engineered and designed and jammed through by them. This is a Mike Madigan enterprise, and this is, just without question, the default position of the Democratic Party in Illinois. And frankly, it's the default position of the Democratic Party nationally. That is, raise taxes. And that's the remedy moving forward for these people. And it's not where we want to be. Now, can any governor improve on how they position things? Yeah, for sure. I'm sure that there's a lot of capacity to critique and to criticize everybody involved. But just without question, the mask is off the Democratic Party in Illinois. There's no pretense of reform. And when push comes to shove, they're sticking it to the taxpayers. And you've seen, Daily Herald had a piece where they were walking through the net on what it's going to cost an average middle-class family in the suburbs. And some of that, some of those numbers just took my breath away. So they're acting with impunity. They're doing it because they can, and it's a shame. And the name of the game is voters have to remember who did this in 2018.
And there's been a lot of loose talk, as you've heard over the years and much more recently, about the prospect because of Illinois' debt burden and unfunded liabilities, which are unfathomable, basically, that, maybe we'll get a federal bailout. Maybe we'll get a rewrite of the bankruptcy code to allow states to reorganize the way that Stockton, California, or Detroit, or maybe soon Hartford, Connecticut have done. What do you say to that?
No, I think it's a pipe dream. Every other state, just look around us. Look at Wisconsin, look at Michigan, look at Ohio, all these surrounding states who are similarly situated at some point in the past, figured it out, rubbed some dirt on it, and managed. And I'll tell you, Capitol Hill will have zero, and I mean zero, tolerance for any sort of bailout efforts to come over the hilltop and bail out the land of Lincoln. It's not going to happen.
And last question before I let you go. You know what it is? Can you tell me what it is?
I don't know.
IRS?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Update?
Where's Koskinen?
IRS update. Hey, real simple. John Koskinen, the commissioner of the IRS, serves at President Trump's pleasure. We've asked the president to remove him. All he's got to do is call the man up and fire him. So they've got the capacity to do this.
All right.
The president can do it. Secretary Mnuchin can do it. And so all they got to do is do it. And you've got the support of the Ways and Means Committee. You've got the support of a lot of people on Capitol Hill. Just do it. And he's not, this is not a president that is unwilling to fire people, obviously. So just get on the phone and do it.
I agree with that. All right. He is Congressman Peter Roskam, Republican representative from the 6th Congressional District in the Western Burbs. Peter, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Oh, your forecast today is very rainy. 50% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly before noon, possibly turning partly sunny this afternoon with a high of 87. Tonight, more showers and thunderstorms likely, and a low around 73 degrees. Good sleeping weather. See how the roads are with Jim Talamonte.
It's not good driving weather, Kristen and Dan. Metro Milwaukee North Line trains can't get through Libertyville right now due to the high water there. And 137 is closed between 21 and Center. There are closures in Waukegan of Washington between Green Bay Road and Tuskegee, and Sunset between Delaney and Northwestern Avenue. Third Lake 45 is flooded between Washington and Cottage Avenue. North Riverside, northbound 1st Avenue is closed, 31st to 26th. That's due to an overturned semi leaking fuel. Tri-State Tollway southbound, it is a solid mess from Eau Plaine to the Lake Forest Oasis, where 2 right lanes remain blocked with the high water there. The Edens inbound is 24 minutes, Lake Cook to the junction, up on 21. The Kennedy, 30 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, up on 26. The Ike, 46 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. The other expressways and tollways right now look pretty good. Things are fairly routine. And now all lanes have reopened on the Tri-State at the Lake Forest Oasis after that water receded a bit. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dimes. Janet Yellen's testimony before Congress drawing investor attention. Los Angeles about to gain Olympic status. Those stories next.
The world's silver supply is vanishing at an alarming rate. 90% of the silver available at the turn of the century is already gone. Silver is an essential component in nearly every industry and is of strategic importance to every country on Earth. At American Bullion, we see a tremendous opportunity in owning silver today. Experts are calling it the next silver super cycle, projecting the price to double or more from its recent lows. During the last silver super cycle, prices increased by 500%. Plus, silver comes with built-in protection against a stock market crash, global uncertainty, and currency devaluation, so it's a great choice as part of your retirement account. Any IRA or old 401k can be easily converted into an IRA that holds physical silver. The entire process is quick, simple, and secure because American Bullion specializes in converting existing retirement accounts into silver, and it's 100% tax-free. Call 800-445-4546 now now to receive our free silver investment kit. 800-445-4546. That's 800-445-4546.
Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen testifying on Capitol Hill today. Yellen will offer her semi-annual monetary policy review, appearing before the House Financial Services Committee. Investors looking for clues to future Fed interest rate hikes. The Mortgage Bankers Association updating mortgage applications completed in the past week. Other economic reports today include an inflation report from the Atlanta Fed and the latest figures on petroleum production. The International Olympic Committee has unanimously given approval to both Los Angeles and Paris to host either the 2024 or 2028 Summer Olympic Games. The only question is which city goes first when the IOC meets again in September. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern, on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Trust is the single most important factor in hiring a contractor. Dependable Construction and its founder, Joe Barron, built their business over 3 decades by being trustworthy. Tuck pointing, brick, and roofing are Joe's specialties. Joe started as a laborer, progressed to an expert tuck pointer and bricklayer. In addition to masonry and roofing, Joe and Dependable Construction have grown to become a full-service, Angie's List and Better Business Bureau award-winning contractor. For brick, masonry, and roofing on residential, commercial, or industrial projects to any other type of remodeling or construction, you'll deal directly with owner Joe Barron. Call Joe Barron at Dependable Construction. Mention AM560 and receive a 10% discount on most jobs. Call 773-244-1091. That's 773-244-1091. Or visit tuckpointchicago.net. Again, the number 773, 773-244-1091 or tuckpointchicago.net.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
When I heard of Balance of Nature, and I said, because I had prayed, Lord, how am I going to get all this food into me that's so good to me? That's when I called. Now I know that I get my fruits and my vegetables into me, and I don't have to work so hard. I know that I am getting the proper things into my body. I do believe that if I didn't have this already in my body, my Balance of Nature, it wouldn't have gone so good for me. But because my body was healthy, that's what kept me going.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. You've heard me talk about my friends at Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville. They're well known for excellent customer service, including custom designs, jewelry repairs by their on-site expert craftsmen. Their knowledgeable and friendly staff always ensures that you feel like family. Right now, they're offering a special family incentive for everyone. 20% off jewelry repairs and custom designs. You mention my name, Mike Gallagher, and get this exclusive offer. Roland's Jewelers has a large selection of beautiful engagement rings, and they're a direct diamond importer. Take advantage of wholesale prices on quality loose diamonds, as well as fine jewelry from designers like Hearts on Fire, Simon G., John Hardy, and Roberto Coin. Don't forget to tell them Mike Gallagher sent you. You'll get 20% off jewelry repairs and custom designs. I want you to visit RolandsJewelers.com or call 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
Napa know-how.
Buckets are good. Good at storing, carrying, and hauling all kinds of stuff. But the Napa bucket for $3.99 does more good than that. Like getting you 20% off 3 or more items that fit inside. And donating $1 to the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund. So do our soldiers and yourself some good and save 20% with the Napa bucket. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Exclusions apply. Offer expires 7/31/17.
The key to success? Keep it simple, especially when it comes to hiring. And nobody makes it easier than Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions. Manage your candidates from one dashboard. According to an independent study, 5 times more hires are made through Indeed than any other job site. New users claim your $50 credit to post a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Until now, every advisor on the radio seems to be talking about market risk and how to manage it.
In retirement, an equally important risk is living too long in poor health. The costs of long-term care and health care in general are rising faster than inflation. At Gibbons Financial, we can help you craft a plan that allows you to maintain and preserve your assets. We work with insurance providers that will pay a death benefit if you never use your long-term care insurance, as well as pay you back up to 80% of your premium if you desire. Don't let a prolonged illness diminish your hard-earned retirement. Allow us to design a plan of care that fits your specific need. Planning on government-based Medicaid is not a plan. Protect your family and assets. Call me, Mike Gibbons, at Gibbons Financial Group today at 224-419-5550. That's 224-419-5550. Call today for your personalized long-term care assessment.
Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Guarantees are based on the claims-paying ability of the issuing company.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy. And Kristen, what do you make of this? The Rudderman Family Foundation, which is a disability rights organization, is upset that Alec Baldwin is going to play a blind actor in the upcoming movie Blind. They're tired of disabilities as a costume and non-disabled actors in disabled roles.
I don't fully grasp this because, I mean, isn't that the role of an actor, is to push yourself outside of your limits? There have been lots of able-bodied actors who have brilliantly portrayed disabled individuals.
Even in this space, were they critical of Jamie Foxx as Ray Charles?
Right. Or Eddie, who was the man who
Eddie
played
Redmayne.
Stephen Hawking? I
Yeah.
mean, he won the Oscar for that.
How about Daniel Day-Lewis as Christy Brown in My Left Foot?
Sure.
So somebody could have done a better job than Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, it's a bit of a meritocracy when it comes to portraying somebody, right?
Right. I mean,
that did honor to all of the principles we just mentioned.
I think so. And I think Edward Norton has played some roles where he took on some sort of disability. I'm just confused as to whether they think there is a crop of actors with disabilities who are being overlooked for these roles. It doesn't seem to be the case.
And if there are, then they should be specific. All right, coming up, New York Times columnist David Brooks says he's ruining America, and I concede his point. That's at 7:07, but now we check the headlines with David Stewart.
Among the stories we're watching, high water from overnight storms is making some suburban roads impassable. Those stories and more after Fox News. WIND Chicago at 7 o'clock.
Russia says niet. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A denial this morning from the Kremlin that it did not reach out to arrange a meeting during the campaign last year. And President Putin's spokesman says they have no ties with that Russian lawyer who met with Donald Trump Jr. He says,
more than happy to cooperate with everyone. I just want the truth to get out there.
Trump Jr. talked to Fox last night. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, hindsight is 2020. That from Donald Trump Jr., who told Fox's Sean Hannity he was expecting dirt on Hillary Clinton the day he met with a Russian lawyer in June of 2016.
In retrospect, I probably would have done things a little differently. Again, this is before the Russia mania. This is before they were building it up in the press.
The sit-down at Trump Tower came after an email exchange with a publicist who told Trump Jr. the lawyer had sensitive information that was part of Russia and its support for his father. The younger Trump said nothing came out of the meeting. Dave.
Rachel, Democrats in the House and Senate Intel committees want Trump Jr. to testify. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says,
the emails are the end of the idea pushed by the administration and the president that there is absolutely no evidence of intent to coordinate or collude.
President Trump disagrees, reiterating in a tweet this morning, this is the greatest witch hunt in political history, writing his son did a good job last night, open, transparent, and innocent. The president also tweeted a shot at the media, then shifted to other issues, writing ISIS is on the run and will soon be wiped out of Iraq and Syria. A person of interest in the case of 4 missing young men in Pennsylvania, Cosmo DiNardo, has been freed on bail last night in an unrelated gun charge.
Search teams are concentrating on some farmland north of Philadelphia owned by DiNardo's family. Police are expected to follow the movements of DiNardo, whom they consider a flight risk.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Mississippi's governor is urging people to stay away from the scattered wreckage of that military plane as investigators work to figure out why it crashed and burned in a field Monday, killing 16 service members. Some were part of an elite Marine Raiders unit. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Good morning, 72 degrees in Chicago at 7:02 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm David Stewart from the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Look for cloudy skies and afternoon thunderstorms today and a high of 91. The Cook County soda tax will remain blocked till at least July 21st. A judge has extended the temporary restraining order, halting the penny per ounce tax from being collected. A hearing will be held on the 21st on a lawsuit filed by the Illinois Retail Merchants Association. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle.
We're just going to fight this out in the courts for as long as it takes, and we think we have a strong case.
She says 1,100 county employees could be laid off starting next week if the tax isn't in place by next month. A Mexican immigrant taking the Chicago Police Department to court, blaming them for mistakenly listing him in the gang database and costing him a chance to avoid deportation. 25-year-old Luis Vicente Pedrote Salinas has lived in this country since he was 5, but was denied admission into a federal program to protect people brought to this country as children. Chicago police say a car that crashed on the Skyway this morning had been damaged by gunfire. Police say the driver was heading south about 3 this morning when he said he thought someone was shooting at him from a brown SUV. The car crashed into a concrete barrier, and police say it showed evidence of being hit by a bullet. Governor Rauner's staff overhaul continues. NBC reports he's firing Deputy Chief of Staff Lance Trover, the 4th high-ranking advisor dismissed in the last few days. One person's in custody after a bank robbery in South Suburban Country Club Hills. The FBI says a man wearing a Captain America T-shirt robbed the Fifth Third branch yesterday on West 167th Street. In the All-Star Game, the American League beat the Nationals 2-1 on a Robinson Cano homer in the 10th inning off Cubs closer Wade Davis. Sox Avisail Garcia was 0 for 2. In the NBA Summer League, Bulls over the Wizards 82-73. News the service of Dove Men Plus Care. Did you hear that 91% of guys that use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommended? Dove Men Plus Care user Rob said that it's like the Hoover Dam, but for his armpits. Well, if it can hold back that much sweat, Rob, it must be good. Pick up some new Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant for yourself at your local retailer. AM 560 News Time 7:04. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
The world's silver supply is vanishing at an alarming rate. 90% of the silver available at the turn of the century is already gone. Silver is an essential component in nearly every industry and is of strategic importance to every country on Earth. At American Bullion, we see a tremendous opportunity in owning silver today. Experts are calling it the next silver super cycle, projecting the price to double or more from its recent lows. During the last silver super cycle, prices increased by 500%. Plus, silver comes with built-in protection against a stock market crash, global uncertainty, and currency devaluation, so it's a great choice as part of your retirement account. Any IRA or old 401k can be easily converted into an IRA that holds physical silver. The entire process is quick, simple, and secure because American Bullion specializes in converting existing retirement accounts into silver, and it's 100% tax-free. Call 800-445-4546 now to receive our free silver investment kit. 800-445-4546. That's 800-445-4546.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.25%, APR 3.75%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
At 7:06 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. In Waukegan, flooding has Sunset closed off between Delaney and Northwestern Avenue, and Washington Street in Waukegan is closed. Green Bay Road to Teske due to the water. Libertyville, 137 flooded between Milwaukee Avenue and Center, and Fox Lake Wilson is closed. Nippersink and 134 due to the water. Southbound Tri-State, still seeing some delays from south of Eau Plaine to the Lake Forest Oasis, where the water has finally cleared out of the 2 right lanes. Northbound of the Tri-State, it's heavy from 111th to 87th, from the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Other tollways look okay at the moment. Reagan Tollway, little heavy approaching the Tri-State. The Edens, 24 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Kennedy, 33 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 28. The Eisenhower, looking at a 47-minute drive, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 39. Stevenson, 48 minutes, 3:55 to the drive, outbound 36. Ryan, 30 minutes, 95 to downtown. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Brian May.
A shower or a thunderstorm around this morning, otherwise breezy, hot, and humid today with clouds and sun, high 91. Tonight, thunderstorms around, some could be severe, cloudy, warm, and humid, low 74. I'm Brian May on AM 560. The Answer.
A flash flood warning remains in effect until 11 this morning. It's 72 degrees at the lakefront now, 74 at Midway, and 74 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. HealthQuest Radio is heard Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And Kristen and all of you in the listening audience who are members of the college-educated class, I don't know how to tell you this, so I'm just going to say it. You're ruining America. Kristen, you are ruining America. I am ruining America.
The college-educated people are ruining America?
The college-educated class.
Okay, gotcha.
That's you, that's me, that's you in the audience who has a college degree and is demanding that your children do the same. You're ruining America, according to a feat New York Times columnist David Brooks, Obama's favorite Republican, which is to say he's not. Over the past generation, members of the college-educated class have become amazingly good at making sure their children retain their privileged status. They've also become devastatingly good at making sure the children of other classes have limited chances to join the ranks. Is he right? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro. Text line, I'm going to give you a chance to apologize for what you've done, both for your children and against other children. I think it's cathartic. Contrition is good for the soul. This will be a little bit of secular reconciliation this morning for among the college-educated. And, Kristen, why don't you start with your apology?
Does a public university count?
Yes.
Okay. I certainly could not put up my undergraduate degree from Illinois State University to yours from Northwestern. So does David Brooks distinguish between, public universities, or we're all ruining America?
Let me go on, since you're being purposely obtuse on the topic. I know what you're doing.
I just want you to get to the sandwich, please.
As life has gotten worse for the rest of the middle class, the upper middle class parents have become fanatical about making sure their children never sink back to those levels. And of course, there's nothing wrong in devoting yourself to your own progeny. However, when we turn to the next task, excluding other people's children from the same opportunities, that's when things become morally dicey. The system rigged for the likes of Kristen McQuarrie.
Mm-hmm. I know.
It's no wonder that 70% of the students in the nation's 200 most competitive schools come from the top quarter of the income distribution. That's a lot of numbers in one sentence, but you get the point. Now, just to highlight this.
And this is what he's coming under fire the most for, is this one paragraph that you're teasing out. Just say it.
He recently, writes David Brooks, took a friend with only a high school degree to lunch. Well, that's a magnanimous gesture to have lunch with somebody that doesn't have a college degree.
How honorable of him.
You know what? That's
stoop so low.
That's such a good example. I may actually do that someday. Have lunch with somebody who doesn't have a college degree. That is what a gesture.
And then write about it. And then pat yourself on the back. And then use this as the example to bolster your entire piece.
David Brooks is, owning it, and he's getting outside of his bubble. I mean, have you ever met somebody with a high school degree, a high school diploma?
I mean,
only?
I've met them, but I would dine with them necessarily.
I mean, somebody could see you.
That would be a little beneath me.
That's horrific. Now, here's the problem. You go to lunch with somebody with only a high school diploma.
They can't read the menu.
And they can't use cutlery. They're animals. Insensitively, writes David Brooks, because he's so compassionate. Not condescending. Compassionate.
No, right. Yes.
I led her into a gourmet sandwich shop. Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
Now it begins. Suddenly I saw her face freeze. Gosh, it's like I'm there with him. I'm hanging on every word. What happened when you went to a sandwich shop with a high school graduate, David Brooks? She was confronted with sandwiches named Padrino and Pomodoro, these foreign things, and ingredients like sopressata and capicola. I quickly asked her if she wanted to go somewhere else, and she anxiously nodded yes, and we ate Mexican. Boy, I mean, David Brooks saved the day.
She didn't want to have lunch with you, dude.
I
think that was the problem.
I don't like to use the word hero because I think it's been cheapened by overuse. But I mean, David Brooks to ride to her rescue after she was about to descend into a puddle of tears by having to read the menu at a gourmet sandwich shop in New York City. She just has a high school diploma, Kristen.
I know. I mean, she was about to be accosted by sandwiches. So he had to save her from having to try to figure out, what a striata baguette was. And he didn't want her to have to struggle with these big words and these fancies. I can't even say it with a straight face.
I mean, if you had a little consideration for your fellow man like David Brooks does.
And then we ate Mexican.
Right. But now here's the thing. Here's what he didn't write because he didn't want to do too much showboating. When they went to the Mexican restaurant, he sat her on his knee, this poor high school graduate, and he, petted her hair while he explained to her that capicola is pork and sopressata is salami. You don't have to be afraid of these words. You don't have to be afraid of these lunch meats. It's going to be okay.
I mean, these are people who get he has a column in the New York Times. The tone deafness of this piece and this as the example that he sets up to explain this is just, I am literally astounded. I'm almost as astounded as the hysterical woman who we played in Monday's show who was so disturbed by Trump not my president blinking. I mean, this is absurd.
She's not a lead columnist for the New York Times.
I know.
But there's no difference when it comes to the left. And by the way, just so we're clear, it should have been when I said David Brooks is Obama's favorite Republican. I know sometimes when you see him on the Sunday talkies, these roundtables, he's perceived to be like a center-right representative. He is a man of the left. And if you didn't know it now, after listening to this condescending pap that he wrote yesterday, as I recall it, it should be clear.
And the lead up to this, by the way, for those of you who haven't read his column, he's talking about the structural barriers that are, and the informal social barriers that segregate the lower 80%, people who didn't go to college, as if you didn't go to college, you couldn't understand a gourmet sandwich menu.
By the way, how many chefs and makers of those gourmet sandwiches have college degrees, I wonder?
Oh, I mean, I think sandwiches... Sandwiches.
It's the great divider.
They're a universal language, okay?
It's the great capicola is the great divider.
I want someone to interview this woman because this went viral on Twitter, and I would love for her to actually explain that her face did not freeze up because she was confronted with sandwiches. Maybe she just didn't. She was changing her mind.
I'll just have a peanut butter and jelly, please. That's the only sandwich I know.
Oh,
I mean, what the hell is wrong with him? This is so stupid.
This is Manhattan, though. This is what drives me nuts about
New
York City and Manhattan thinking.
Here's what drives me nuts. There's a point buried in all of this self-regarding pablum from David Brooks. The point is, yeah, there are structural impediments for the non-politically connected and the non-wealthy for their children to access better schools, particularly in the inner cities. And, and he's right that it's a lot of upper income, the part he leaves out, leftists who are the racists who discriminate against children based on their household income and their address, which is mainly black and brown children that they otherwise spend so much time virtue signaling about and their concern about such children and such families. They're the ones who don't get to send their kids to the lab schools like Tiny Dancer and Barack Obama, or Sidwell friends like Barack Obama and Al Gore and Bill Clinton. They're the ones who the teachers union pretends to represent, and they represent the adults in the system to the exclusion of opportunities for those children. So if David Brooks wanted to get to the bottom of this, rather than his
sandwich expose,
his weepy story about the gourmet sandwich shop, how about talking about the new results on school choice? New evidence school choice in Indiana, and which has the most robust school choice program in the country now, and Louisiana. 7,100 students in Louisiana, 90% of them African American, attend private or religious schools of their parents' choice, thanks to a statewide program that includes scholarships for private schools. In February of 2016, a much touted survey by the teachers' unions from two Arkansas academics, University of Arkansas academics, found declines in English and math after 2 years at private school using a scholarship. However, they extended their study because you want to track children over time, particularly when they have a disruptive event like changing school. When they expanded their study to include performance after 3 years, the results flipped. The new studies show by the end of the third year, the differences between scholarship students in those public schools has been erased and exceeded. And of course, this is acclimating to a new environment, to new discipline, to new standards, and then excelling. And there's a lag time.
Mm-hmm.
In Indiana, 34,000 students served by scholarship programs. Study finds that students using scholarships had declines in math and English the first 2 years after leaving public school. But the longer these kids had the scholarships in their new schools, the better they did, surpassing their public school peers in English after 4 years. In Chile, because this is about opportunities for kids, and it's not limited to the United States. There's a new working paper on the Chilean school voucher program. On average, student test scores increased markedly, and income-based gaps in those scores declined by 1/3 in the 5 years after passing the scholarship program in Chile. The combination of increased support for schools and accountability was the critical mechanism through which the implementation of the scholarships increased student scores, especially in high schools serving high concentrations of low-income students. Migration of low-income students from public schools to private scholarship schools played a small role. So you want to address this issue of opportunities being foreclosed for those that are not already do not already have a family history of college education and financial success and independence. You know what you do? You give them the same fracking opportunities. You give them the resources that provide choice, the same way that more wealthier people, and the politically connected have in places like Chicago.
And how far along are we on the school choice ladder in terms of all of these states and, as you mentioned, other countries? Nowhere. We're going backwards. We have efforts in the General Assembly every year to make it more and more difficult to shut down charter schools. We're not even talking about opportunity scholarships or something like Florida. We just had a charter school proposal I wrote about in Elgin. It was going to create kind of a second math and science academy. You know, how the wonderful Aurora Math and Science Academy is, but kind of duplicate that. It was a 5-year process of a group of former teachers and people really interested in improving public education trying to get the local school board to approve it because, that's another tripwire in state laws. The local school board has to approve it. Of course, they did not because they don't want the competition. So that got shut down. They have a chance to maybe go to the appeal process that is set up, but the General Assembly is also trying to disassemble that appeal process. So we are so far behind all of these other states in offering any sort of competition to the public school system.
And we're also still waiting for a very minor tax credit proposal to make it, despite ostensible support from all parties involved, tax credit that would provide voluntary contributions to fund scholarships. We're still waiting for that to be passed and implemented. Steve in Evanston, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hello, how are you? I didn't go to college. Is there a course on sandwiches, or can you get a degree? How does that work?
You read David Brooks's column, and then you become a man of letters, like he is, and then you enter civil society. That's how it works.
I did get an A in the meatball sandwich category. I don't mean to brag, but I do make a mean meatball sandwich.
David, could you just order me some bread with mayonnaise on it? I don't understand these.
I like Phil from Schaumburg's comment.
Phil, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. David Brooks had lunch with a prostitute. But he couldn't have been client number 9 because client number 9 we already know about. So maybe he was client number 13.
Woohoo! I'm a college man. I won't need my high school diploma anymore. I am too smart. I am too smart. I am too smart. I am too smart. S-M-R-T. I mean S-M-A-R-T.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You have a rainy forecast today. I hope there are some brutal thunderstorms later, but not until I'm home after my commute. Today, 50% chance of showers, mainly before noon. We might get partly sunny this afternoon and high of 87. Tonight, mostly cloudy, showers and thunderstorms likely. And let's see how the roads are impacted by all this rain with Jim Talamonte.
Lots of water to the north, Kristen and Dan. Metro Milwaukee North Line trains are not able to get in or out of Libertyville right now. This is due to the flooding, and in Libertyville, 137 is closed from 21 out to the Tri-State Tollway. Haynesville, Washington Street closed. Haynesville Road to Arbor and Washington is closed in Waukegan from Green Bay Road to Teske. There's also a closure of Sunset between Delaney and Northwestern Avenue. And in Gurnee, 41 is now closed between 21 and Depot Road. Edens is 27 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose outbound 24. Kennedy, 36 minutes. O'Hare to downtown outbound 32. The Ike, 46 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop outbound 40. Stevenson, 50 minutes. 355 to the Drive outbound 36 minutes. Ryan, 29 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound heavy Eau Plain to the Lake Forest Oasis, where the water has receded out of the way now. Northbound, big delays, 115th to the Hinsdale Oasis and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial with the usual slowdown starting around Boughton Road. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
If you did not purchase health insurance coverage during the 2017 open enrollment, I can help you purchase a PPO health insurance plan at any time during the year. This is Tom Marabali, your health insurance advocate and independent producer for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and other health insurance carriers. If you are between the ages of 19 and 64, you are automatically paying for maternity coverage whether you want the coverage or not. If you are a non-smoking 50-year-old male or female living in the city of Chicago, the monthly premium rate for a 100% tax-deductible health savings account PPO plan would be $590 per month. But I can show you how to eliminate the mandatory maternity benefit and lower your monthly premiums down to approximately $240 per month. To see if you qualify or for more information, call me, Tom Marabali, at 630-863-3477. That's 630-863-3477.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from a VA client.
I do have a very close personal friend. Him and his wife were both Army. They did a couple tours. They were denied their VA loan at the 11th hour. They got the carpet pulled from underneath them. So, you hear horror stories like that. With you guys going through the VA process, you guys really did most of the legwork. I mean, mean, just a matter of getting my paperwork in order and making sure you guys had the right documents so that you could push it through, make it happen, and get us the keys to our new home.
Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois, mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639, equal housing lender.
When you purchase an alarm system, you do it for one reason above all others. You need to know something about the people or property under your care. Knowing that what matters most will be looked after by professionals when you can't be there is a comforting feeling. At Alarm Detection Systems, we've learned a great deal from our decades of service. We know how to treat customers on the phone. We know that installing quality security products using certified technicians is the only way to go. We know that same-day service and local monitoring will provide the safety and peace of mind you're looking for. You no longer have to wonder if your home or business is protected by your alarm system. Know that it is. At home or on the go, the information you seek is right in your hands. It's good to be in the know. Visit adsalarm.com or call 630-844-6300. That's 630-844-6300 or online at adsalarm.com. Alarm license number 127000143.
The performance, conduct, and sustainability of organizations are a direct result of leadership. A leader's impact can be profoundly good or bad. We've experienced the devastating impact of unethical, selfish, and corrupt leaders. We've also experienced the impact of good and caring leaders whose honesty, integrity, and ethical conduct have created great organizations and a legacy of goodwill. Our challenging times require courageous, values-driven leaders to step up to these challenges. My name is Rich Panico. I am the founder and CEO of Integrated Project Management Company, IPM. I am blessed to lead a wonderful family of talented and caring leaders. Join us as we strive to change the world, one project at a time.
Trust IPM, the consulting industry's leader at executing your critical initiatives. For almost 3 decades, IPM has planned and executed projects in the life sciences, healthcare, consumer, and industrial sectors with honesty and integrity. Visit IPMCinc.com. That's IPMCinc.com. Or call Integrated Project Management's Chicago office at 630-789-8600.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, we're still talking about the great sandwich divide in America that David Brooks identified. John Cass texted us, Kristen. He's got a good idea. You're a colleague from the Tribune. David Brooks is Professor Henry Higgins in Pygmalion 2 Lunch Meat. I like that.
John often just talks about how he did not finish college, and I think he probably makes a pretty damn good sandwich.
Yeah.
Right?
And he also writes columns for a living, like David Brooks.
How about
Imagine
that?
Imagine somebody
Shocking.
without a college degree could rise to the level of a David Brooks.
Oh.
Wow.
Luckily, he took.
That's an
I
insult to
like how he
Cass,
slams
actually.
Mexican food too. So he took her for Mexican because
Yeah.
she can read beans and rice.
Yeah. Hey, get this little lady a chalupa. She's just a high school graduate.
Chalupa. I don't know. That's
Dave in DeKalb, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Dave. Dave in DeKalb.
Dan.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
Hey, I got a lot of nerve, but I was wondering, is deli meat and is pablum a type of sandwich?
Yeah, you want to put Dijon mustard on the pablum. Thanks for the call, Dave. Appreciate that.
Didn't somebody name a sandwich after you at one point, Dan Proft?
I did have a sandwich at, it was an Irish bar on Lake Street, Lake and Halstead.
Was it a fancy upscale sandwich? I hope at least.
No, it was like it had one right wing and stuff like that. It was a political sandwich.
I see.
It was something that David Brooks would look down upon, I guarantee you. Pete in Montgomery.
The real question is, did David Brooks pick up the tab, or did they go Dutch treat?
Well, that's a good question.
I'm going Dutch all the way. He made her pay half.
Yeah, well, maybe he paid 2/3 since he's a bit of a redistributionist. So fair is fair. He obviously feels sorry for somebody that didn't rise to the level of David Brooks's dizzying intellect.
Or maybe he actually bought her the sandwich because, he felt he insensitively presented this dilemma to her. And that was additionally, as part of his heroism that you mentioned, he did pick up the tab.
Coming up, we're going to talk to a man who knows what capicola is. He is Steve Moore from the Heritage Foundation. And now we turn to another man of letters, Carnegie Mellon graduate who knows what sopressata is. Dave Stewart with the headlines.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Kristen. Good morning. 74 degrees in Chicago, 732 on AM 560, The Answer. From the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Cloudy with thunderstorms today, a high of 91. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Lake County and northern McHenry County until 8:15. A strike by workers at LaGuardia, JFK, Newark, and Philadelphia airports has been suspended this morning. More than 1,000 workers employed by subcontractors for several airlines walked off late yesterday. The baggage handlers, cabin cleaners, and security workers have been fighting to unionize. MSNBC host Joe Scarborough says the Trump administration is trying to discredit the media.
That's what they do. They whip people into a frenzy, talk about fake news, and it's been part of a pattern for a long time. They're trying to confuse the truth with lies.
Scarborough also told The Late Show with Stephen Colbert that he's leaving the Republican Party and becoming an independent. A bipartisan coalition in Congress is trying to preserve the funding for the Great Lakes preservation efforts. A House subcommittee will consider a bill today to restore the $300 million that was eliminated in President Trump's budget. It pays for removing toxic pollution, restoring wetlands, and fighting invasive species. Cleanups underway after storms hit Chicagoland overnight. Heavy rains caused flooding on numerous roads throughout the area, including but not limited to Wheeling, Wilmette, Fox Lake, Grays Lake, and Pingree Grove. Downed power lines and tree branches also reported. Startups and innovators in the food and beverage industry will be welcome to a new business incubator called The Hatchery, opening next year in East Garfield Park. Mayor Emanuel says the $30 million facility will feature kitchen, office, and storage space for as many as 100 food businesses. Emanuel says corporate partners like Kellogg and ConAgra know the importance of being on the cutting edge.
To be successful today as a major company, you've got to be looking around the curve. That's what this is about. And it creates an economic opportunity, an economic engine in the west side of the city of Chicago, linking folks in the west side up to one of the most dynamic parts of our economy.
New businesses will also have the chance to secure financing through microlender Axion. In sports, in the All-Star game, it was the Americans over the Nationals 2-1. A Robinson Cano homer in the 10th inning ended it. He hit that off Cubs closer Wade Davis. Sox Avisail Garcia was 0 for 2. The news is service of Napa Auto Parts. It's that time of year when a scorching hot day can pop out of nowhere. So the folks at Napa Auto Parts would like to remind you that if you can fry an egg on the sidewalk, you can also fry your car battery. Head to Napa, where they'll keep your car running longer and stronger. That's Napa know-how. AM 560 News Time, 7:34. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, great coffee, period.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
At 7:37 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. Metro says Milwaukee North Line service is halted right now between Libertyville and Fox Lake due to the flooding. And there are some minimal shuttle services available, but you might find another way. There are quite a few flood-related closures in the northern suburbs, including 41 in Gurnee. It's flooded between 21 and Depot Road. Big delays in Barrington Hills on East Bend Algonquin with traffic signal problems at 25. Eden's 27 minutes, Lake Hook to the junction, outbound 24. Kennedy, 42 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 36. The Eisenhower's 50 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 42. Stevenson, 59 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 42. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Tri-State, stop and go, 132 to 176. Northbound, 115th to the Hinsdale Oasis, Roosevelt to North Avenue. Traffic service of Dove Men Plus Care. You hear that 91% of guys that use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommended. Dove Men Plus Care user Bobby said he doesn't know how it works, but it gets the job done. Sounds good, Bobby. Pick up some new Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant for yourself at your local retailer. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Lake and northern McHenry County until 8:15, and a flash flood warning until 11 this morning. Otherwise cloudy. A severe thunderstorm in the afternoon, a high of 91 today. Cloudy tonight, severe storms once again, low 71. And tomorrow, mostly cloudy, warm and humid with just a shower and a high of 85. Right now, 74 degrees at O'Hare. Next news, 8 o'clock. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now, more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Lou Bridges Show. Get foreclosure defense solutions that may save your home. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
Some call me the sage from South Central. Others call me the czar of common sense. But you can call me Larry Elder. And you're invited to join me tonight, starting at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune Ed Board. And Kristen, the Mercatus Center at George Mason University is out with its annual ranking of the states by fiscal condition.
Let's take a guess.
Where do you think Illinois falls?
I'm going to say like -5.
I'm questioning this scorecard, because the solvency scorecard, as the Mercatus Center calls it, because Illinois is only ranked 49th.
Ooh.
It's only the second worst run state in the country. New Jersey, the worst run state according to the metrics they use. But, you get the point. There's a lot of competition there. Interestingly, too, the 10 best run states, according to the Mercatus Center study by the economists over there at George Mason. 10 best run states. Florida, number 1. North Dakota, South Dakota, Utah, Wyoming, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Idaho, and Montana. You notice anything in common about those 10 states? A common characteristic?
I would say that not a single one that I can think of has a democratically run state governor. I'm going through the list here. Maybe.
Yeah, that's correct. Those 10 states have voted Republican in the last 3 presidential elections and/or have GOP control of state government.
Okay.
Montana currently has a Democrat governor, but again, but Montana's voted Republican in the past 3 presidential elections. That's the only one. The other 9 Republican governors. The 10 worst.
I'm sure there's no connection, Dan.
No. The 10 worst run states, just to advance the notion, there's no connection.
No.
New Jersey, Illinois, Massachusetts, Kentucky, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Louisiana, California, West Virginia, New Mexico. 6 of those 10 states voted Democrat in the past 3 presidential elections and/or have Democrat control of state government. Kentucky was just taken over by Matt Bevin, so that Kentucky is moving. New Republican governor there, but that's just recently happened, so you got to give him a little opportunity. Louisiana has a Democrat governor, even though it's voted Republican in the last 3 presidential.
And for how long? When did Bobby Jindal leave?
A year ago.
A year ago. Okay.
Yeah. West Virginia, same thing. Democrat governor, even though it's voted Republican in the last 3 presidential elections. But there does seem to see there is something that emerges that you have the 10 best run states are GOP dominated, and the 10 worst run states are majority Democrat dominated. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Has nothing to do with policy choices.
No.
Speaking of Illinois being ranked 49th, wanted to add one little item to the tax increases that were passed last week. An underreported part of this, and I apologize. I was remiss in not catching this as well, but State Senator Dave Severson, Republican from Rockford, did catch it. Included, in addition to, and this is good news because, of course, you have full confidence in the General Assembly's ability to spend your money properly as they've been doing, which is why we're, according to the Mercatus Center, 49th worst run. We're the second worst run state in the nation. We have the largest unfunded liabilities, the lowest credit rating, the largest amount of unpaid bills per capita, some of the worst social service provision for persons with disabilities in the country, despite all that taxing and borrowing and spending. But you have full confidence that the 32% personal income tax increase, the 35% corporate tax increase, the monies generated from that are going to be used properly by the same people who have put us in this place. You have confidence in that, right? Good. I'm glad to hear that because there's more money coming from you to them. So you're going to be excited about that on the North Shore and the other core Democrat constituencies in this state. Gas tax increase is part of that as well. 5 cents a gallon. Tax at the wholesale level, which will raise the price at the retail level. It adds 5 cents a gallon to your fill-up. Projected to be $95 million total, which, of course, is the typical static analysis that the government does, and the numbers always come in lower because people respond to incentives and purchase substitutes elsewhere. So that's what will happen as well. But a 20-gallon tank, when you go to fill up, it'll add $1 to the average fill-up.
And is that the story doesn't seem to indicate whether that is dedicated toward highway maintenance or because there are conservative leaning
road
states
fund dedication,
who have
right.
are turning to the gas tax, and these, of course, are more well-run states, and there's probably more tolerance for a gas tax increase that goes toward infrastructure.
Right, it's a use tax, which doesn't offend me. So, but even in Illinois, in addition to what you're indicating, which is the road fund is routinely rated, like everything else, it's just money's fungible. This just in, but also.
Breaking news.
Yeah, it is for some, mostly in the General Assembly. And the other thing is Illinois double taxes gas in a way that most states do not.
I know you know a lot on this subject, so I'll just...
You apply the sales tax and then you tax the price, including the sales tax. That's double taxation.
Okay.
So
wasn't this part of your gubernatorial platform?
Well, it was. Yes, it was. It was. But also, what I wanted to do is I want receipts at the pump for the breakdown of the cost of the fill-up.
It's important.
So you understand how much of the cost of gasoline and why Chicagoans and Illinoisans to a lesser extent, but we're still right there, generally speaking, pay the highest cost for gas in the country. It's because of the taxation, the layers upon layers of taxation and the double taxation. So people should see that. So why not be transparent? What do you got to hide? Gee, I wonder. By the way, a related story, particularly for the Democrat Party and those champagne socialists who pretend to represent the interests of the less fortunate and be very, very concerned. They're very, very concerned in Evanston and Wilmette and Winnetka and Glencoe and Highland Park.
They're worried.
Skokie.
They are worried.
Very concerned about black families. Extremely. They're more concerned about families in Inglewood and on the west side than they are their own. That's how focused, how selfless these individuals are, these champagne socialists. So they'll be interested in this story. Metropolitan Planning Council analysis finds that most of the African Americans leaving Chicago and Cook County are low income. From 2010 to 2015, the population of low-income African Americans fell by 56,000 in Chicago, while it increased by more than 5,000 in suburban Cook County. Why do you think that is? It's due to the loss of young, low-income African Americans from Chicago's south and west sides, right, which we've talked about before. And those people are fleeing like anybody would flee if they can and when they can, because they don't want to live in shooting galleries, because they can't exist with the cost structure that is presented to live in Chicago. So, and again, they're not just fleeing Chicago for the suburbs. It's a small residual population. They're fleeing Illinois like everybody else.
They're going south. And so this is just kind of a buttress to an earlier study that talked about middle-class black families and how they've been leaving, I think probably sooner than 2010, that exodus started.
Yes.
But once stable communities on the south and west sides are now just completely destabilized because those families who had the means to leave did, for the same reasons you're discussing, concerned about their own children's safety, high taxes, concerned about being underwater in their mortgages. And so you have neighborhoods down where I live that, used to be thriving and are now struggling.
I've got an idea.
Open a sandwich shop?
That could help, but only if you have David Brooks here to translate. The other idea is to follow the lead of those enlightened champagne socialists in the Pacific Northwest. Seattle has approved a new city tax on wealthy city residents.
Oh, this will go great with the minimum wage hike.
Who will be leaving Seattle shortly. Washington State, no income tax, which is interesting, being kind of a purple to bluish state. But Seattle City Council approved a 2.25% tax on high incomes, which, as Stuart Varney pointed out in Fox Business, the wealthy tax that's been proposed by House Speaker Mike Madigan here works so well in Maryland. If you think working well is to send millionaires facing the millionaires tax to other states not named Maryland, because that's actually what happened, and it recovered a fraction of what Maryland politicians thought it would recover, because it turns out people with resources have mobility. They can leave. Yeah.
It's interesting though that you brought up Madigan. He brought that up. He brought that bill up twice, maybe in the same session, and he did not get enough support for it. It was a little dramatic watching the speaker try to present this piece of legislation and then members of his own caucus voting against it.
Yeah, that's called kabuki theater.
I don't know. He seemed, at least with one of the roll calls, to be a little embarrassed. I mean, it's not often that he sponsors a bill, argues for it on the floor, and then misjudges the roll call.
Well, sure, why not? I mean, if he passes a tax on the rich, the champagne socialists here love paying taxes.
Well, and it would tax Mike Madigan, right? In a good year?
In a good year.
Year. He's a millionaire.
Sure. We don't know because he doesn't release his tax returns because he's not required to as the most powerful politician in Illinois. But you can be sure the Chicago Press Corps obsesses every year that Bruce Rauner preemptively releases his returns, as do all the Republicans candidates for governor did when I ran in 2010. But no, there's no requirement of Mike Madigan.
Or to release
or
more,
John Cullerton
or clients that they serve.
No.
Well, they have those economic interest statements, Dan. They're so probing.
Well, Oak Park doesn't care about that. They are excited to pay more taxes, and including at the pump. And it's like very much in Seattle, where you've got those proponents of the 2.25% tax on individuals with incomes in excess of $250,000 and those filing jointly with incomes in excess of $500,000. That'd be those who would be the people subject to the 2.25% income tax. And the money, the exciting thing about this, the money's going to be used to expand affordable housing, subsidized housing.
Okay.
Because you know what improves a neighborhood? Subsidized housing.
Well, they're going to need it after they raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And study after study has now shown that the low-wage workers lost hours and are actually earning, on average, $125 per month less under the new minimum wage hike. So they're going to need that subsidized
Which is why the Maine minimum wage workers revolted and overturned a referendum to increase their minimum wage. No, don't increase our minimum wage because it's going to result in less take-home pay. They actually successfully overturned the popular referendum because of the pressure that those workers put on. You know, it turns out, this is going to sound weird because you're going to think this can't be true. It turns out that those like people in the service industry, they know better how to handle their lives and what's in their interests than do politicians at a state capitol somewhere.
Well,
I know that's crazy.
It is. You're speaking nuts.
Yeah.
You're nuts here. And actually, you saw a number of communities. I think Cicero, maybe Lansing, had advisory referendums on the April ballot, asking voters, "Do you want to see a minimum wage hike?" Because municipalities want to override Cook County's minimum wage hike.
And 50 have. And
50 communities?
Yes.
Put it on the ballot and...
No, not put it on the ballot, but through a council vote, have opted out. Because there's an opt-out provision. And so here's the thing. This is great. This is Cook County. Larry Suffrenden, who's a lobbyist and a Cook County commissioner, who is the author of the county's minimum wage ordinance, which provided an opt-out for municipalities that didn't want to opt in. Right? You were
I didn't realize there was an automatic. You could vote.
You could opt out.
You could vote to opt out.
Yeah. So there was an opt-out provision included in his bill that increased the county's minimum wage. Okay. Now, since so many municipalities have opted out, Larry Suffrenden is filing suit against the communities who've opted out.
Who took advantage of his legislation.
Right.
That's great.
So,
are you sure that's correct? I like Larry Suffrenden. He wouldn't do something
as early as tomorrow. There will be a lawsuit filed against the communities that have opted out. Suffrenden said at the Skokie Village Board meeting. In the next few months, we will have the majority of the towns in the county participating in the minimum wage and sick leave ordinances. Well, sure, if they opt out, except they can't opt out. Here's this opt out provision. If you want it, you just can't use it. You see how it works?
I'm surprised that many communities in Cook County actually did opt out because it seems like, that you're cruel if you don't want to raise the minimum wage in your town.
Some people in suburban Cook understand Econ 101. It's quite a thing. And Larry Suffrenden underestimated it. So now he has to, come in and correct those people who had a misunderstanding of what opt-out meant.
Great. And so taxpayers will be paying for both sides of this lawsuit like we do often.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be paying for Larry Suffrden's side, and then the communities will be forced to lawyer up and fund their right to access something in the ordinance that he passed. Brilliant.
Yeah, and by the way, even in places like Evanston and Oak Park, there was a split vote on those village boards.
I would guess.
So
you're saying
a split vote on the minimum wage.
Right.
It wasn't like it was unanimous. So, I mean, apparently math is even creeping into these enclaves of socialist groupthink, which, I don't know, may provide some hope for the future. Probably not.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Do you know your bank's fraud tolerance? I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive. At Signature Bank, we have zero tolerance. While some of the big banks may write off smaller incidences of fraud, we use a multi-layered approach to fight fraud before it happens to our customers. There's been a record number of businesses hit with payments fraud this year. Keeping your business assets safe is our top priority. We are trained, and we will train you to recognize potential wire fraud threats and business email compromise scams. Call us today to find out how Signature Bank can work with your business to fight fraud.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. How would you like to have insurance for your computer network? Something to protect your hardware and software, and more importantly, give you peace of mind. Using Turnkey IT for installation and support of your systems is like having insurance for your computer network. For one affordable monthly payment, your company gets a full team of certified technicians who are there for you, working in the background to ensure your systems are up and running. They'll help you over the phone and make house calls to your workplace. And Turnkey IT doesn't wait until there's an emergency call because they work hard to take preventative measures, keeping networks secure, backed up, and running nonstop. Turnkey IT can protect your network with the Turnkey experience where everything is included. Office 365 hosting, advanced network protection, cloud backup, disaster recovery, and unlimited remote and on-site support. Find out what Turnkey IT can do for your company today. It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro today. That's turnkey.pro.
Hello, this is financial advisor Dale Bradley speaking to you from the Bradley Investment Center in Evanston. Have you ever made an investment through one of those large national brokerage firms? Have you ever felt like just a number? Well, at Bradley Investment Center, our goal is not to be the largest practice. It's simply to be the best by establishing and keeping true personal relationships. Visit us at bradleyinvestmentcenter.com. That's bradleyinvestmentcenter.com. Or better yet, stop by and say hello. We are at the corner of Central and Central Park in beautiful Northwest Evanston. We strive to be the center of all your family's investment needs. For more information, call the Bradley Investment Center at 855-940-8700. That's 855-940-8700.
Bradley Investment Center. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. Bradley Investment Center is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. Belied by his promiscuity and policy is a discipline President Trump possesses that few other Republican politicians do. Trump knows who his audience is, who it is not, and he consistently leverages the latter to maintain the loyalty of the former. Trump is still speaking to and for the deplorables, those forgotten Americans who play by the rules only to be gamed by the system they finance. Al Cervic got into the club, but instead of cozying up to Judge Schmales, he's bringing his friends in with him. You can at once blanch at Trump's behavior and appreciate the truth it generates. Rocco Moose helped NATO allies find their wallets, and they did. The more lurid Trump's conduct or supercilious his comment, the more Trump's opponents voluntarily lay bare their barbarism. Trump tweets a fake wrestling video. CNN hyperventilates about make-believe violence. In stark contrast to the short shrift it gives actual violence perpetrated by the left, be it an assassination attempt on GOP congressmen, riots at Berkeley, assaults of professors, or attacks on police. The success of Trump's presidency remains an open question, but at least he knows for whom he fights.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Kristen in for Amy this morning. Coming up at 8:08, we'll go over Trump Jr.'s testimony before Sean Hannity, but now we check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Among the stories we're watching this morning, high water from overnight storms is making some suburban roads impassable, and the Cook County soda tax will remain off the books until at least July 21st. Those stories after a look at national headlines from Fox News. WIND Chicago.
Donald Trump Jr. says there is nothing there. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I'm more than happy to be transparent about it, and I'm more than happy to cooperate with everyone.
Because the president's oldest son tells Fox's Sean Hannity his meeting with a Russian lawyer during the campaign yielded nothing.
For me, this was opposition research.
Trump Jr.'s put out all the emails related to the meeting, including one telling him Russia was supporting his father. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
Referring to Donald Trump Jr.'s appearance on Fox, President Trump tweeting his support, writing, "My son Donald did a good job last night. He was open, transparent, and innocent. This is the greatest witch hunt in political history. Sad." Meanwhile, Donald Trump Jr. insisting to Sean Hannity that he never told his father about his meeting last June with a Russian lawyer.
It was such a nothing. There was nothing to tell. I mean, I wouldn't have even remembered it until you start scouring through the stuff. It was literally just a wasted 20 minutes, which was a shame.
Republican South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham has called the emails released by Trump Jr. disturbing. Dave?
John, the lead Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee probing Russian campaign meddling, Adam Schiff, wants to hear more from Trump Jr., concerned about what he says are evolving accounts of what happened.
If you get approached by a foreign government offering to interfere in a presidential election, you go to the FBI.
Now, the man in line to take over as FBI director faces a confirmation hearing later this hour at the Senate. Christopher Wray.
You have a nominee like that to an important agency, and I haven't heard from Republicans or Democrats or from you folks in the media anything negative about him.
Judiciary Committee Chairman Republican Chuck Grassley. Wray, if confirmed, would replace James Comey, whom President Trump controversially fired a few months ago. In an hour, Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen will testify at the House and tell lawmakers to expect more interest rate hikes at a gradual pace. This is Fox News, fair and balanced.
Good morning, 74 degrees in Chicago at 8:02 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm David Stewart from the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Cloudy with thunderstorms today and a high of 91. More immediately, a severe thunderstorm warning for Lake and northern McHenry County until 8:15. The Cook County soda tax will remain blocked until at least July 21st. A judge has extended the temporary restraining order halting the penny per ounce tax from being collected. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle says 1,100 county employees could be laid off starting next week if the tax isn't in place.
So if we don't have revenue, we end up laying off doctors and nurses, prosecutors and public defenders, and jail guards. That's where our money goes.
A hearing will be held on the 21st on the lawsuit filed by the Illinois Retail Merchants Association. Chicago police say a car that crashed on the Skyway this morning has been damaged by gunfire. Police say the driver was heading south about 3 this morning when he said he thought someone was shooting at him from a brown SUV. The car crashed into a concrete barrier. Police say it did show evidence of being hit by a bullet. Governor Rauner's staff overhaul is continuing. NBC reports he's firing Deputy Chief of Staff Lance Trover, the fourth high-ranking advisor dismissed in the last few days. One person's in custody after a bank robbery in South Suburban Country Club Hills. The FBI says a man wearing a Captain America t-shirt robbed the Fifth Third branch yesterday on West 167th Street. In sports, in the All-Star game, the Americans beat the Nationals 2-1 on a Robinson Cano homer in the 10th inning off Cubs closer Wade Davis. The Sox Avisail Garcia was 0-2. In the NBA Summer League, it was the Bulls over the Wizards, 82-73. The news service of Jewel Osco. Shop Jewel Osco and stock up on quality meat items. During their big buy one, get one free meat sale, you can double up on everything from pork chops and petite sirloin steaks to Italian sausage, boneless beef round steak, and many other favorites. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, sponsored by Turnkey.pro. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Ginny Cosola.
From the Fox Business Network, Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen takes questions from Congress today as she addresses the House Financial Services Committee. She will meet with senators tomorrow. Facebook is putting ads on Messenger starting this week. Ad Age says it's already been testing the ads in Australia and Thailand. Children's clothing chain Gymboree is closing 350 stores starting next week. USA Today says the company will have more than 900 locations after the stores are shut down. Gymboree filed for bankruptcy protection in June. Panera Bread's sale to JAB, the maker of Keurig Green Mountain Coffee, has been approved by shareholders, and now it's expected to close this summer. Panera has been growing its digital sales and delivery, which is available in nearly a quarter of its stores. The Dow closed up a fraction yesterday. NASDAQ was up 16. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
AM 560 News Time 8:05. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply. Please don't text while driving.
Did you know your organization's logo can do far more than you think?
Your logo carried my clothes to the gym.
Your logo kept my coffee warm all morning. Your logo charged my phone last night.
When the highly trained team at 4 Imprint put your logo on things people actually use, you'll be amazed at how powerful your logo can be. Not only will we unleash the full power of your logo, we'll show you the top 3 promotional items for driving new customers absolutely free. Text TEAM to 642-642 now. Every time your customers enjoy one of our promotional items with your logo, they'll think of you. Plus, with free art assistance, we'll make every item look fantastic for a great price. Satisfaction guaranteed.
Your logo keeps my laptop safe.
Your logo keeps me dry.
Attract new customers, reward employees, and make a lasting impression. Discover the top 3 promotional items for free. Text TEAM to 642-642. That's TEAM to 642-642.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.25%, APR 3.75%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
At 8:07 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
David, Amtrak service is now suspended between Chicago and Milwaukee due to the high water in Lake County and in Kenosha County. Metro Milwaukee North Line trains are not running. Fox Lake and Libertyville due to flooding. There is some minimal shuttle service. And outbound Union Pacific North Line trains are stopped near Lake Bluff. There's a tree on the tracks there. There are closures of Gurnee, 41 between 21 and Depot, and of 41 and Lake Forest. Between West Lane 137 due to flooding. Several closures of 45 and several other major thoroughfares in the northern and northwest suburbs. Eden's inbound heavy starting at Chewy. 28 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose outbound 26. Kennedy, 47 minutes, O'Hare to downtown outbound 43. The Eisenhower's 54 minutes, Thorndale to the post office outbound 51. Stevenson an hour and 5 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive outbound 54 minutes. Ryan 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Tri-States though 132 to 176. The other tollway delays are fairly routine for this hour. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Brian May.
A severe afternoon thunderstorm today. Otherwise, a shower or thunderstorm this morning. Breezy, hot and humid with clouds and sun. High 91. Remaining warm and humid tonight. Low 74. I'm Brian May on AM 560. The Answer.
Right now, a severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for Lake County and east central McHenry County until 8:15, and a flash flood warning for all the Chicago area until 11 this morning. It's 72 at the lakefront, 78 at Midway, 74 at O'Hare. Next news, 8:30. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is powered by CharlesEquipment.com. Weathering every storm and keeping the lights on.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune Ed Board, and I just want to take a moment to recognize somebody that we've lost this morning.
Okay.
Serious moment here. Wait for the music to subside.
Wait for me to stop dancing.
Yeah. This morning we say goodbye to Joe Scarborough.
Who?
We've lost him to the ages. Joe Scarborough, who has already left the Republican Party and was part of that goofy no labels group that went nowhere, but was an opportunity for effete surrender Republicans to feign independence of thought and post-partisanship. But he has left the Republican Party again.
Good.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, you clown.
So I just wanted to,
I can't
make note of his passing.
I'm getting a headache from my eye rolls over this story. It keeps popping up on my Google as if it's a top news item. Who cares? it's just, why do people even watch that show? It's a clown show. The fact that he's leaving the Republican Party, he was never even a Republican to begin with, and who cares?
He's a Republican congressman, technically, but yeah, no labels, so we heard you twice the first time. And it was this no labels group. It was like, you ever see this guy, Mark McKinnon? He's another quote-unquote GOP strategist.
No.
He thinks he's David Niven. He wears, like, Dickies on Meet the Press. I mean, they're just so insufferable.
Speaking of, I gotta
good
just
stuff.
share, since we were talking about the sandwich controversy
Sure.
earlier with David
The
Brooks.
sandwich divide.
The great sandwich divide. Counter Moonbat, who I think we both follow on Twitter. Now he's luxury yacht owner. Really, really funny to follow. He has something posted just a few minutes ago that the New York Times food writer actually posted this because she's trying to get feedback about barbecue. Here's what she posted. She wants to know. She's dying to know. This is the New York Times. Where does barbecue come from? Who has the right to make barbecue? What does it mean when we sit down and eat it?
Who has the right to make barbecue?
Yes, this is someone who probably gets paid 3 times my salary to pose these kinds of questions to readers up in the New York Times tower, trying to understand barbecue.
The right to barbecue, is it equally distributed?
Right.
Should it be redistributed in some
I don't
form or
know.
fashion?
Maybe David Brooks should have taken his lunch date to a barbecue shop and then avoided the whole capricola meltdown.
You know, this is cultural appropriation. This is where she's going, right?
I know, but
Who has the right to make barbecue?
who has the right to make it, and what does it mean when we sit down and eat it? It means we're friggin' hungry.
We like barbecue.
And we like barbecue. Is there deeper meaning, though? I mean,
How
maybe
much
we're
for-
missing something here, Dan. We're missing something.
How much for one rib? If I could do my Chris Rock from I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Is that
take
cultural
one rib.
appropriation?
I'll take one rib.
Just pour it in my hands. Okay. So only Isaac Hayes and Jim Brown can run a barbecue joint. That's what I understand from the New York Times. And high school graduates don't know what fancy words for salami are.
Right.
That's what I also understand
Yep,
from.
that's what we learned today.
It's been an education. Now, of course, in addition to that, we learn from the New York Times that Donald Trump Jr. is likely guilty of treason. I mean, that's the combination of the New York Times providing the fodder for the law firm of Schumer, Schiff, and Kane to make the assertion. Donald Trump Jr. released the email chain between him and this passing associate, as he describes him, Goldstone, who's a British tabloid reporter turned PR flack for an Azerbaijani pop star who set up a meeting with a Russian lawyer and the son of a presidential nominee to rig the election for now President Trump. You follow that? Budding spy novelists? I'm not sure Brad Thor could come up with a plot this good. But that's the story. That's what's relayed in the emails, the email chain. And the key that those who look to see collusion here are suggesting is Trump Jr. Getting the suggestion from this Goldstone that he was going to meet with somebody connected with the Russian government that had damaging information about Hillary Clinton. Trump Jr. saying, I love it. If it's, essentially, if it's true, I love it, particularly later in the summer. Remember, this took place in June of 2016. So it shows, arguably, that he believed he was going to meet with somebody that was connected to the Russian government, and thus he was willing, as well as Kushner and Manafort, who were at the meeting, willing to engage an agent of an adversarial foreign government to obtain information about Hillary Clinton during the context of the campaign. There's a difference between politics and the law firm of Schumer, Schiff, and Kane wants to blur those distinctions because they're advocates of the rule of men, not of the rule of law. So your take on this, do you at least now want to take a wait-and-see approach on this Russian collusion story? Has this shaken your confidence in President Trump and his team, this disclosure by Donald Trump Jr. and what he had to say on Hannity last night? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Quickly, just to put an end to the barbecue controversy.
But I love it. I want to talk about it for the next hour. But go ahead, Ralph.
No. Ralph and Rantoul, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer with a Shakespearean resolution to this.
True. Yeah, Hamlet covered this a long time ago in Hamlet's soliloquy when he said, to be, BQ or not.
Yeah, that's very nicely done, Ralph. Thank you for the call. All right, so Trump Jr. on with Hannity last night. Here's what he said his mindset was in June of 2016 when he got this email from this associate and ultimately agreed to this meet.
Honestly, my takeaway when all of this was going on is that someone has information on our opponent. You know, things are going a million miles an hour. You know what it's like to be on a campaign. We just won Indiana, but we're talking about a contested convention. Things are going a million miles an hour again. And, hey, wait a minute. I've heard about all these things, but maybe this is something. I should hear them out. At the time, it wasn't this big news story.
And of course, it was Russia and Russian collusion and the allegations and the daily stories and the 24-hour coverage wasn't ongoing. This is June of 2016. You have to put yourself in that time period. So that's an important contextual point. Then Donald Jr. talked about his knowledge of this Russian lawyer, Natalia Veselnitskaya, that he met with, and what happened after he met with her.
I actually didn't know anything about it. Again, an acquaintance, sent me this email. As a courtesy to him, I said, okay, let's meet. But I didn't know who I was meeting beforehand, never heard of the person, never got the information until they were in the room. Yeah, there wasn't really follow-up because there's nothing there to follow up. But as we were walking out, he said, listen, I'm sorry for that. But I think what happened, he sort of goosed up. He built up. There was some puffery to the email, perhaps to get the meeting, to make it happen. And, in the end, there was probably some bait and switch about what it was really supposed to be about. And so, there is nothing there.
So that's what he thought going in, and when he received the email and agreed to the meeting, and he thought going into the meeting, that's what happened. Now, in retrospect, with 20/20 hindsight, would you have done anything differently?
I think, like I said, in retrospect, I probably would have done things a little differently. Again, this is before the Russia mania. This is before they were building it up in the press. For me, this was opposition research. They had something, maybe concrete evidence to all the stories I'd been hearing about, but they were probably underreported for, years, not just during the campaign. So I think I wanted to hear it out. But really, it went nowhere, and it was apparent that that wasn't what the meeting was actually about. I've said it publicly. I said it yesterday. More than happy to cooperate with everyone. I just want the truth to get out there. That's part of why I released all this stuff today. I wanted to get it all out there. They're trying to drag out the story, in all fairness. They have it. They want to drip a little bit today, drip a little bit then. So I was like, here it is. I'm more than happy to be transparent about it, and I'm more than happy to cooperate with everyone.
So as far as you know, as far as this incident is concerned, this is all of it?
This is everything. This is everything.
I'm a little worried it's not everything as it relates to the attorney, as is a problem with the Trump campaign not vetting who they were sitting down with. As more information comes out about her, Natalia help me out here.
Veselnitskaya.
Yeah. She, in some stories that have emerged, she has been a key figure in representing some Russians who were indicted by the U.S. government for corruption. She was
they were facing a civil forfeiture case, this Prevazon Holdings that she represented.
Right, but
she was asked by NBC if she's an agent of the Kremlin.
Have you ever worked for the Russian government? Do you have connections to the Russian government?
Yep. No, but no follow-up. There has to be more digging. What I'm concerned about is that she is going to emerge as someone at different points when she was representing this case, and she's become very involved in trying to repeal the Magnitsky Act here. I find it hard to believe that that something won't emerge, that she has a tighter connection to government officials than simply answering no during an interview and no follow-up.
It's possible. It's certainly possible. I don't take her at face value. I don't take Goldstone, the PR flack that engineered this meeting, at face value either. So I'm kind of in the wait and see camp with Jonah Goldberg over at National Review. I'm wait to see this play out a little bit and see whose story holds up under additional scrutiny and questioning. But I do want to separate the law from the politics of this. The people who want to criminalize politics and I don't care if it's under the auspices of a prosecutor either, believe in the rule of men over the rule of law. And Jonathan Turley, who is a respected law professor from George Washington University, addressed the criminality, the allegations of criminality that Trump Jr.'s disclosures supposedly bring into play. And Professor Turley had this to say.
Well, it's odd. It's like we have this giant Rorschach test where everyone sees ink blots and sees crimes everywhere. I mean, the criminal code has defined elements to it. You just don't find these ambiguous crimes. Some people have said this could be treason. For the love of God, treason is defined in the Constitution. This is not treason. Other people have said this could be a Logan Act violation. Well, Logan Act has been used once in 200 years and is facially unconstitutional. One said, well, if you take things of tangible value under the campaign laws and treat information like that, then maybe you have a campaign contribution violation. Well, yeah, but we haven't seen that done. You could also treat it like a panda and say it's an endangered species violation.
Right. It's not a panda, and it's not a violation of any particular criminal statute because, you know how you know? Is because when Schiff, Schumer, and Kaine and others invoke criminality or treason, there's nothing they point to. They just use those words because it's a talking point, because they're political hacks. So that's setting that aside and understanding that collusion is a political term, not a legal term, generally speaking. You know, conspiracy, now you're getting to legality, but you still have to point to a conspiracy that is colorable under the law. But now that we've set that aside, let's talk about the politics of it. And Charles Krauthammer offers this assessment.
The defense of the Trump administration for the last 6 months, which I supported, was there doesn't appear to be a there there. I was saying this is a cover-up in search of a crime. There wasn't any evidence of collusion. There were lots of coincidences, lots of meetings, lots of non-disclosures, but that's all circumstantial. There was nothing to show that the Trump administration was aware of or supporting the Russian interference in our elections. And this just showed up today in black and white, released by Don Jr. himself. This is not released in the anti-Trump media. So you see it in black and white. This is not to say that collusion is a crime. It never was. But it is to say that the denial of collusion is very weak right now because it looks as if, I don't know if there's any other explanation, Don Jr. was receptive to receiving this information.
And the fact that he was receptive politically is problematic enough. Arguably, the counter argument that, well, there was no follow-up and nothing ever happened, to that argument, Krauthammer says this.
Well, it's a hell of a defense to say that your collusion was incompetent and that it didn't work out.
Yeah, it's not a great defense.
It's not great, but I do think the context is important, that he went to a meeting to gather information. There was no furtherance of an act. They realized within 30 minutes that there were other alternatives. And I do think contextually that's important. I think the place where they're going to get tripped up is the same place all these public officials get tripped up. If he's already talked to the FBI, or any of them have, and Mueller's been when was he appointed? 4 weeks ago? 5 weeks ago?
And he's reportedly going to look at these emails.
I wouldn't be surprised if
fine.
I wouldn't be surprised if he already has.
Well, sure.
So
All he has to do is pick up a paper.
Well, I get the sense that the Trump administration and Donald Jr. in particular are trying to get ahead of something, that they knew this was going to leak out, or that he's backtracking, and that if they are going to get tripped up on this with some sort of charge, it will be lying to the FBI.
Maybe Trump can block everybody else on Twitter that he's not already blocking, since he's being sued. The president, he's being sued by 7 people who he blocked on Twitter. He's being sued
for
saying it's viewpoint discrimination. This is the climate. This is the climate. But the problem is the Trump administration is feeding into this climate. Now, of course, there are people who think this is all his master class in communication and misdirection. And I'll buy that argument, or at least I'll be more receptive to it when I see more policy accomplishments, both in terms of defanging the administrative state, more appointments actually getting confirmed, particularly to the federal benches, and major policy achievements in the area of health insurance and taxes. Then I'll start to say this isn't a distraction. This isn't unnecessarily expending valuable and scarce political capital. This isn't endangering anything. This is all the genius of Trump. Will and Skokie are on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan. Just like you were saying, they're trying to redefine political terms into legal terms. They're also trying to redefine the laws of evidence. What Mueller's looking at is stuff that follows the legal laws of evidence, whereas the press and the media and the politicians, the only thing they have so far is reports from the New York Times and various other media that from unsubstantiated sources or unnamed sources. I mean, you got to remember, I'm not trying to come down on the media now, but just because they printed the newspaper doesn't make it right.
Yeah, let's hope that Mueller is following the rules of evidence. Thanks for the call, Will. Sean in Elmwood Park.
I love when Don Jr. talks because he's got that James T. Kirk cadence sound. I mean, everything's like an emergency. But the one thing I don't understand about this whole thing, why wasn't, you remember the Uranium One scandal?
Yes.
With the Rosenbergs, known as the Clintons?
I've got the story pulled up. I was just researching this, Sean. We're simpatico.
Literally a bag man. Clinton literally grabbed $7.9 million, the first payment, and all of a sudden this sale goes through where a Russian company seizes interest in a Canadian company that can dig up our uranium.
Yeah, so here's the deal. Uranium One is a real story. It was an underreported story in the campaign. Thank goodness for Peter Schweitzer and his book Clinton Cash, which documents this. And people should check that out if they're unfamiliar with it. I know there's internet memes going around, but they should actually read the account and the substantiation by Schweitzer of exactly what happened. Here's the problem. Hillary Clinton isn't the president, and so saying Hillary Clinton did all these bad things and got away with it, I'll stipulate to, but it doesn't do anything to help the Trump administration.
My position, Dan, but we live in a world now where EB5 scandals, the Clinton's brother, the Trump sister-in-law, this is all bribery. It's all bribery. You're bribing people for information. You're bribing people for contracts. You're bribing people for down-the-road favors on variances. It's just the whole system is built on corruption. So anytime you want, it's like the tax code. Anytime you want it, you're illegal. That's the whole problem with it. And I'm so sick of this bring the fruit of your loins to work day. Can everybody who's president, your kids and your wife, go to some island and shut the hell up for 4 years? I'm so sick of it.
All right, thanks, Sean.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
My legs were awful.
I always felt uncomfortable and self-conscious.
I had never been real happy about the spider veins in my ankles and my legs.
I started noticing fatigue in my leg.
I was so self-conscious. Then I went to Vein Clinics of America.
It's time to love your legs again. Vein Clinics of America is the oldest, largest, most experienced vein treatment center in the U.S. Using state-of-the-art laser and minimally invasive treatments, they can begin restoring the natural beauty of your legs in as little as 1 hour with no downtime, and most treatments are covered by insurance.
I found the Vein Clinics of America, and look at my legs now.
You just feel like, I want to do so much today. It's such a big difference.
My experience with Vein Clinics of America was amazing.
Make sure your legs look and feel their best for summer. Call now to schedule a free fast-track consultation to find out how you can finally get rid of those embarrassing varicose and spider veins. Call 800-402-0707. 800-402-0707. That's 800-402-0707.
All right, I know you're bombarded with MyPillow ads everywhere you turn, not only from me, but on TV, billboards, and in print. But the reason is simple. It's the best pillow available. You deserve a restful and relaxing summer, and the July radio deal using my name, Amy, in the promo code is the best deal available. It's the 50% discount on a MyPillow 4-pack, including 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for half the price. You can move the fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll sleep deep and won't wake up to a stiff neck or headache. And our good friend Mike Lindell manufactures them in America using only American labor. You can wash and dry them. They're hypoallergenic, and you get a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So get your 50% off the 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy or visit MyPillow.com. That's 800-489-0201, promo code Amy.
Message and data rates may apply.
Have you ever forgotten your password? With all the accounts you have and all the rules around passwords, remembering every single one is impossible. That's why millions of people are turning to Dashlane, the award-winning app that protects your passwords and creates an easy, secure way to access all of your accounts. And right now, you can get access to Dashlane free for life on your favorite device just by texting SECURE to 543-543. Over 6 million users manage their passwords with Dashlane. Over 6,000 companies trust Dashlane. And over 70,000 reviews give it a 5-star rating. But the only number that really matters? 0. Because that's how many times you'll forget your passwords using Dashlane. With Dashlane, your passwords are never misplaced and never forgotten. Simple, safe, secure. Unlock free access to Dashlane on your favorite device for life right now. Just text SECURE to 543-543. That's SECURE to 543-543.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy this morning. And coming up at 8:38, we'll talk to Charles Cook, the editor of National Review Online and author of the Conservatarian Manifesto. We'll continue our conversation on Trump Jr. and pick up some cultural topics as well. But now we check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Kristen. Good morning. 74 degrees in Chicago at 8:32. From the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. A cloudy day with thunderstorms ahead, a high of 91. Emails show that Donald Trump Jr. knew he was planning to meet with a Russian government lawyer in June of last year and that he expected to get information about Hillary Clinton from the Russian government. Trump Jr. tells Fox News he didn't even bother telling his dad about it, though.
There was nothing to tell. I mean, I wouldn't have even remembered it until you start scouring through the stuff. It was literally just a wasted 20 minutes, which was a shame.
He says he would have handled things differently, but says he did nothing wrong. The fate of more than 100 Iraqi immigrants who face deportation will be decided in federal court in Detroit and not in immigration court. Liliana Burtis' father is among them. She says it's hard to talk to him when he has the chance to call from detention in Youngstown, Ohio.
Sometimes I feel like I'd rather not be able to speak to him because that I don't know when I'm going to see him again.
Meanwhile, the stay on deporting the immigrants will remain in effect until July 24th. Chicago police took a man into custody last night, ending a barricade situation in South Chicago that had lasted for more than 4 hours. A SWAT team entered the home in the 8400 block of South Luella about 11:30 last night. The man was arrested without incident. It's not clear if he was armed. Fire last night in the West Garfield Park neighborhood left 9 people homeless but caused no injuries. Firefighters responded about 2:15 a.m. to the blaze in the single-family bungalow in the 4700 block of West Ohio. The fire was out in about 15 minutes. 4 children and 5 adults are displaced. A new study finds the average driver in Chicago pays more for parking in a meter than in any other major city in the country. The study by INRIX finds that parking for 2 hours downtown is $13 in Chicago, but $12 in San Francisco and $7 in New York City. In sports, in the All-Star game, the American League beat the Nationals 2-1 on a Robinson Cano.
3 sets of fruits and veggies. Now, go
need $30 in a review set your life.
If you when Spain to help doctors attain
Bear